Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and you're listening to the Third Fleet podcast. With the new Monster Hunter Rise trailer, a demo that most of us have sunk already dozens of hours in, there is so much to talk about today. This podcast has been something I've been looking forward to all week, and I can't wait to pick the brain of Rurikhan here for us to sort of like geek out on the subject for you guys. So, Rurikhan, how you doing, man? You getting sleep?
Not a whole lot in the last couple of days because we've been pretty much playing the demo nonstop. We actually got to play the demo slightly ahead of most people, which was also pretty fun because we got to play the demo and then we recorded. Was it episode 4 or episode 5? I'm lost. It was episode 5. We got to play the demo, then we recorded episode 5. And then it's like, well, we can't talk about the demo. So that was a hard episode to record.
It's a very hard episode. It's like trying to do anything when you have an early release version of the demo sitting on your desk. You just kind of hear it screaming at you going, "Play me!
Just play me. Why won't you play me? Why are you talking about other things? You should be talking about me."
I know. And it's I felt a little bad because I was hoping that the embargo lift would happen around the same time that it was made public. But there was kind of a lag and delay, and I think that might just have to be some logistics things with Nintendo. So I felt a little bad that, there were some early previews going out and people were still waiting. But luckily, it came up a few hours later, I think, and everyone got their hunt on. But I heard that Nintendo servers in Europe had some issues.
Oh, yeah. Like I had a lot of people complaining, like, I can't download the demo. It's not working. The servers are exploding. And I'm just like, wow, this was the demo. Nintendo, you better upgrade your infrastructure when we get to the final game. This better not be what happens. People are going to go insane.
Well, it's better now than later, right? And can you imagine if, get the learning now so they can get the idea of how many people are going to be jamming that server?
Yeah, pretty much, because
it's a good reminder why preloading is important, right?
Yeah, because if you don't get the preload, and then all of a sudden everybody's trying to download everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get
pre-order that game, people. Preload it when it's available.
Pretty much. That's one of the things that a lot of people have been, were asking me whenever I was live streaming or whatever. Rurikhan, do you think the game is worth it? Like, now that you actually have your hands on it, like, what do you think about it? And personally, I've been greatly enjoying it. Like, not everything in the game is perfect like I would like. There's a couple of things here and there that have me a little bit hesitant in regards to maybe certain weapons or something along those lines. Yeah. But I think that overall, the experience that you actually get to see in this demo and the reveal of some of the mechanics, it was just like mind blowing. Like when you saw it for the first time, you're like, what? We're going to do what? That's crazy, right?
And the fact that it actually works, like you can actually jump around like it doesn't take, it's not impossible to do. Like the way it controls is great.
Yeah, like
it's so funny because like most demos for a game last like what, like you play it for maybe 2 hours and you're like, okay, can't wait for the full game. We're sitting here, I've probably put in like, I don't know, 70, 80 hours in the thing probably.
I don't even dare to count, because when you think about the fact that there's 4 monsters in this demo, 1 map, and it's like we're probably going to reach like hundreds or something of hours in this one map, just trying to explore every little nook and cranny and figuring out every little thing. And the thing about this demo has also been like, I feel like we discover new things almost every day, right? Like
every single day there's something.
You play something and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's this thing. Like I made a Twitter video and everybody was like, what? When I talked about the sword and shield and how it has it's not really a new move. It used to be like the rotating slash or whatever you call it, which basically like in World it was automatic. Whenever you would press the triangle button, you would press triangle and input a direction. Your character would do like a spinning thing and it would change directions. That move is not in Rise. And instead of that, they just put in a new move called the Spinning Reaper. And when I showed that to people, and the fact that move actually changed depending on where you perform it. So like if you perform it after the A combo, it deals more damage. People are like, what? What are you talking about? This is crazy.
I think we're gonna be finding little fruits of stuff all over every day. I think while the demo is still up, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it's nice that, you know, even though it's a pretty like self-contained demo, there's so many things to explore and to discover like every single day.
I feel bad for Mizutsune because every time there's a demo for those who are new to demos in Monster Hunter, there seems to be a pattern that, you know, they release a demo for a Monster Hunter game, and the monster in there gets hunted so many times that by the time we run into the thing in the actual game, our muscle memories we're ready for it already. And now we have armor with skills and weapons with actual attributes, and we just wreck it. So it's like we're putting in the time. We're probably hunting the monster like 100 times already, which is crazy. So I'm kind of happy that they chose a returning monster to be the beat stick and not a new monster, because that means that we still have a lot to look forward to when it comes to facing new monsters. Like, we're not going to have hundreds of hours of practice against it.
How surprised were you, like, when you booted up the demo for the first time? Because, you know, most people that booted up the demo, they already knew that Mizutsune was in there because they announced it in the trailer and they said, like, okay, here's Mizutsune and you're going to get to fight Mizutsune. Like, for us, it was different.
Know.
Like, we had no idea. So we just kind of like, we boot up the demo and the first thing that shows up is Mizutsune's face. And I was like, what? Like, what did you think about that?
I laughed out loud when I downloaded the demo one. But I said, I'm like, wow, okay, that's one way to announce it. I'm like, wow, okay. But you know, and even knowing like, that was going to be one of the things that they were going to show during the trailer, that whole showcase just floored me. It was just tons of stuff that we had never known or expected. It was
baby Tetsukabra. The little baby Tetsukabra that Hojo is riding. I was like, dude, I need a baby Tetsukabra for my room. And if I can't have one, I'll riot.
Oh, man. When I did my reaction video, it was literally like that night. I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, and it is like when you're in that state, you kind of recognize stuff and you try to hold back from your assumptions, right? So I was like, that looks like a Tetsukabra. I was like, I'm not going to say that because I don't know. I don't have time to look it up. I don't want to like jinx myself because I really want it to be. I was like, I'll just be like, it reminds me of Tetsukabra, and everyone's in the comment like, dude, that is a Tetsukabra. I'm like, I mean, I know.
I was just like so pumped up because Tetsukabra is actually one of the monsters that I really like. I think he's a really fun monster, and I remember like in 4U, I think I wore his set the entirety of the thing. So like I went from low rank Tetsukabra to high rank Tetsukabra. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just like that set.
Up, baby.
Yeah,
it looks cool. I mean, that and it's like it's supposed to be Japanese themed. That thing is themed off of a sumo monster, a sumo wrestler, sumo monster. God, what's wrong? It does sumo wrestling moves. It's great.
We had the baby Tetsukabra. We had the Meowcenaries, which is like that mysterious looking cat that just sends them out with a swing of a fan. And I was like, what?
And they're off on the kites.
And they go Ninja off on kites.
Did you see the dog? There's a screenshot of a Palamute going out on it. And the screenshot shows that the Palamute isn't riding it like a cat. It's like strapped in at the waist.
No, I haven't seen
And he's like laying down on it. It's hilarious.
Oh man. Like initially when I saw that and I wasn't paying attention, I thought, cause like, you know, I rewatched that trailer probably like 1,000 times to make videos and whatnot. The very first time I saw it, I actually thought that those were hunters being sent off until they then explained like, this is the Meowcenary system. I was like, oh, okay. Cause I was like, we're just going to fly off on kites when we go on hunts. This is some weird stuff. But
gosh, I love it. Everything is so deliciously Japanese and themed and cultured, and it's like I want a VR experience of just being able to run around Kamada. Like it's just I want to live there. There's it's warm, it's inviting, it's cute. There's something about it.
Well, I got some bad news that can't possibly be done on the Switch because, like,
I know we'll be walking around in pixels.
It's not even because of the pixels. Like the thing that gets you with VR is the frame rate. Like you need at least 90 FPS, otherwise you get sick.
To get the illusion of
it's not feeling. Even the illusion. It's just to prevent you from getting sick. Like if you don't get 90 FPS, you're going to get sick. Like if you try going into VR at like 60, you're going to get sick because your eyes are just used to like a different thing.
My eyes are bad. I'm getting old, so maybe my FPS is like 15. I don't know. My eyes are bad.
Nah, dude, there's no way.
I turned 40 this month, so like my FPS is going down. But my reaction times are still good. I feel good about that. So,
in 2013, I actually interviewed Palmer Luckey before Oculus was like a big deal. I got to interview Palmer Luckey, and I was like, oh, he was telling me all about how if you don't get 90 FPS, you're gonna get sick. It's gonna suck. But anyway, I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room, the new mounting system,
the gamut in the room.
The gamut in the room. The new mounting system. You know what? Wyvern Riding.
What's it called? Wyvern mounting, right? Or Wyvern Riding?
Wyvern Riding. Yes, Wyvern Riding.
Riding. That's even better.
What did you think about it?
I love it. Oh my God. I mentioned in my video, but it feels very on theme because of puppeteering being a big thing in culture here in Japan, and the way that you're kind of like doing like puppeteering with it. But it's like, it's so, I don't know what to say besides it sounds so cool. I sound like I lost my vocabulary, but it's like you're riding on a freaking monster. You can evade with it. You're basically controlling it. You become the monster. And discovering all the different moves you can do with it. I can't wait for people to find like hidden moves and stuff. Like I've been messing around, like I've been like trying to do like circular motions, Hadouken motions, and like I'm sure Capcom snuck some funny stuff in there. So trying to figure out all the different moves I could do with Rathian, who's my new like favorite 15th weapon.
I didn't even think about doing like Hadoukens and Shoryukens and whatnot, because ultimately Street Fighter is a Capcom game, so there's bound to be something hidden in there. That's a very good point. But like the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, this is a little bit out there, because my brain was still thinking. My brain was thinking like in terms of, the amount of times that you mount a monster in World, which is like ridiculous. You can get like up to 5 to 6 mounts per hunt. And the first time I did it, I was like, no, there's no way they can let you do this 5 or 6 times per hunt. Like I'll just kill every monster with another monster. Like it's not even going to be a problem. And then I realized, okay, so they're doing this, but you can get about 1 mount, maybe 2, depending on how long you're fighting.
2, like I don't know if you did this, but I did a test where I did a hunt doing nothing but aerial attacks on the monster.
Yeah, I did it too.
With the hammer. And I got the second mount around, I'd say 90% health gone. Like it was like really near the end of the hunt. And I think right after I hunted it, mounted it a second time, it died.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same thing for me. I went in with the insect glaive and I just spammed aerial on Rathian. And like that was it. So like I got the first mount on like the second aerial attack or something like that. So like super fast. Get the first mount, slam her 3 times, and then just like repeat. And it's like I chopped her tail, broke her face, broke her wings, broke everything on her. But you did. And it's like she was like limping away, and I mounted her, and I was like, okay, so you probably realistically are gonna get about 1 mount per hunt on average.
Even the spider, like the spider that you can pick up in the map, which they have in the tutorial, you can use that and you're still not going to get that second mount. It's not going to happen.
I think there's like an internal cooldown to the mounting system. So like after you mounted it once,
10 minutes
there's
or
like,
something.
Yeah, there's something in there that like prevents you from mounting it again, specifically to prevent like abuse and stuff like that. So like, say there's 3 monsters. there's 3 monsters on the map. You're gonna get like 3 mounts very early on if you want to, and then later down the line you might be able to get a couple of more. But usually you're going to be counting 1-2 mounts tops from our experience with the demo. Because remember, these things can change. Like everything that's happening in the demo, like all of that can change.
But considering, I would say considering the portable nature, if hunts are going to be 10 to 15 minutes long, I would consider that first mount to be religious. Like that's going to be the mount. So you got to be very selective about how you do it. Now, I'm definitely not the type I like watching people be efficient, but I don't like being efficient. So, for example, I know a lot of people are going into the demo, and the first thing they do is they jump on Mizutsune, and then they go and they go over and they mount Rathian, and then they use Rathian to destroy Mizutsune.
Oh yes,
but I don't want that to be like the opening thing to do for myself, right? I like to just, if they happen to come in together, I'm like, okay, here comes them out. They're going to, when it happens, it's a happy little thing.
Oh, I did that so many times. I just straight up run to Rathian, pick her up, and go up to Mizu, beat the crap out of him.
Like wild chicken running down the map.
Because here's the thing, like if you mount Rathian, you can do two things. You can get Fire Blight on Mizutsune with fireballs, and on top of it, you can poison him. So you can Fire Blight
poison.
Yeah, you can poison him too. So I was just like, dude.
I didn't figure out how to do that one yet.
The somersault. You just keep doing it until it eventually poisons.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
one thing that tripped me up though in the demo, and it took me a long time to realize it, was, for example, if you have like the Great Izuchi, who's awesome to ride, because like the back, I think it's like back in A does like that.
Yes.
It's like the tail slam, and he could do it like 3 times in a row or something. But it's like a lot. It's like 100 something damage, right?
182
but the
damage
thing is
on
like,
average.
Yeah, so like what I didn't realize was that when you fill up the gauge and it says like, okay, you can now do your finisher, you're not supposed to do the finisher right away. You're supposed to keep on attacking, and then before it runs out, then because I would just hit X and A, and I'm like, why can't I jam on this? I was like, that's a really weak attack. I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to use it right away.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're supposed to abuse the crap out of the monster with everything you got before you do the finisher.
And the evade is so powerful because the evade basically knocks you out of the fatigue animation. It lets you go right again. So you just evade, and like you're just, it's monster mayhem. I love it. And have you tried, I haven't seen any of your streams because of our time zones, but have you done like a Monster Fight Club? Where like one person rides one and one rides another, and you meet in the middle and go at it?
Are you kidding me? That's the first thing I did. So it's like, listen, here's the videos that I did for it, right? So I did a video where it's just like my initial impressions. Like we'd even talk about this before, right? I was going to do a first impressions type of thing where I just go over and I explain to people what the demo is like. Then I did my live stream where I basically just like streamed all of the weapons so that people could see. And after that, the next video that I did was explaining the mechanics of Wyvern Riding. And then immediately after that, I was like, okay, now, because at that point, the demo was live. And I just went and I got a friend of mine, Kagrin, and I was like, dude, let's go. I mean, I even have on the thumbnail, you know how Fight Club has that soap thing? Like it's Mizutsune with the Fight Club soap.
Oh, that is hilarious. I got to watch that after this.
A lot of people will not get that reference because Mizutsune's got like the soap bubbles and whatnot. I know a lot of people will not get the reference, but I was just like, dude, this is too good. So I put that in there, and basically, me and Kagrin, we just did that. We went in there and we would both mount at around the same time. Like we would coordinate through Discord to mount at the same time so that it would be fair. And then we'd run up to each other and we would just like let her rip. Now the thing
it's that wonderful corridor area, right? It's like you know, the perfect place to have a showdown.
I mean, usually we would just we would both run. I think most of the fights that would happen were actually in the in that water area above close to where the temples are. That would be usually where we would meet up, depending on which monster we were riding. Because like I did all of the monsters. Like we had Mizu versus Izuchi. I had Urzuros versus Izuchi and Rathian versus Izuchi. Now that I think of it, I didn't do Rathian versus Mizu, I don't think. But yeah, like we did a bunch of fights just to test it out. And like the conclusion that we reach is that like Izuchi is super powerful. Like he would always be the first one to get to the what's it called? The finishing Punisher, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of fun because the monsters hurt each other. And so the one thing that I still have to come up with is what would be the victory condition. Is it to get to the mounting Punisher or is it to knock the other person off the mount? That's because like you can very easily get to the Punisher, but it might not knock the other person off. Like I had a situation where
to me, I think it would be overall damage dealt, wouldn't it?
That's the thing. How are you gonna decide that? Like when you're fighting somebody else, it's not like you have a DPS tracker or anything. So I think that making the other person dismount is ultimately like the best indicator of who wins, because like I've had situations where like, you know, Kegrin got to the punishing first and he did the punishing, but it didn't dismount me. So then I countered it with like the finisher of the Rathian. And so it kind of looked like Rathian won, but technically speaking, got to the Punisher first. So it's like, but it's a very interesting thing I agree with you.
Knocking him off should be it's like jousting, right? Yeah.
The last one standing on the mount is the one that wins. I think that's going to be ultimately, but
I can't wait for like photo mode and like 3 people, 4 people. And then you're just sitting there taking pictures of like 2 hunters going at it.
Exactly. It's like I just thought it was really funny to come up with this little mini game just from the Wyvern Riding thing, because I remember that when I first mounted a monster, that was like my first thought: can 2 players mount and like fight against each other using the monsters, and just have your like little kaiju simulator almost, because you know that's pretty cool. And the other thing that I was thinking as well, because we saw it in the demo, like you can mount Palamutes, right? And the Palamutes, they have the drift thing, which is pretty much just like Mario Kart. Like you drift for a little bit.
And I didn't even notice it the first few days. I didn't even know you can do that. I thought drifting was just like running around a corner, and someone's like, "Hey, hit ZL." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. So it's like the idea that I had was also like you could have races. So like you could just have like, you know, you would do the ancient shrine circuit where you would like come up with a defined circuit and see whoever gets to the finish line first, because you can like, you know, you can get like, depending on when you activate your boost and whatnot for the dog, you can like overtake other people if you plan your route right. And
someone sent me a video on Twitter yesterday where someone like overlaid it with like full Mario Kart and like the full UI of like 3rd place, 2nd place. It was so well done. It was hilarious.
You got to send me that, because like I was talking about that the second that I saw how the drift worked. I was like, dude, this is just like Mario Kart, just like straight up.
Yeah. So I feel bad a little bit for the Palicos, because in the demo, there's no way to go nearly as fast as the Palamute hunters, because they hold off some functionality. For example, like we know there's a second camp in the ancient shrines at the very top. If you can just quick warp there and utilizing those shortcuts, a hunter with a Palico can get to the monster just as fast as one with the Palamute. But you can't do that in the demo because there's only one camp. So it kind of handicaps the players who are using a Palamute, but those are the Palico. But those things are really fun during the hunt. The cats, oh my god, have you used them a lot or no?
No, I mostly use I use both, because most of the hunts that I did were solo. So, you know, usually I just have both. But if I had to pick at this point, I would 100% go with the Palamute. You want to know why?
Why?
Because you can mount and sharpen at any point. You don't have to get out of combat in order to mount. So it's like you just sheath your weapon, call the Palamute, jump on the Palamute, and you're sharpening while running circles around the monster. There's nothing the monster can do. As a matter of fact, I think that might be too powerful. Like, I don't know how you can fix that, but that feels way too powerful. Sharpening is always like...
The game knows if you're engaged in combat, right?
Yes.
So if they just make it where you can't mount the Palamute while you're engaged, that would solve it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I have my doubts that they'll do that, though.
Yeah, because
I was kind of surprised, though. I thought that was going to be the way it worked.
Yeah, because like that's how it works in World with the Tail Raiders. It's like you can't call a Tail Raider if you're in combat. You have to not be in combat in order to call a Tail Raider to transport yourself around the map. But when I saw that, basically, you know, I just sheathed my weapon, called a dog, and just start sharpening. I was like, this is... I don't know if this is going to be like this in the final game, that I definitely can't play anything other than the Palamute, because, like, you know, sharpening...
You know, honestly, the one thing I do when I'm playing with my daughter is there's enough walls around each arena that if I need to sharpen, what I just do is I just go up the wall and I sharpen. And I'm generally fine. I can jump right back in the action. And I even have a good vantage point of what's going on when I jump back in. I imagine timing-wise, it's probably the same as someone just running around with a dog, not doing anything.
I don't know, because, like I said, most of the hunts that I did were solo. So, you know, I haven't experimented
for solo,
much.
it's nice, yeah.
Yeah, for solo, definitely just being able to call the dog and sharpen is friggin' game changer for me. That was the way that I always sharpen, and even healing. Like, say you're low on health, you can just call the dog, run away, heal, come back. It's like it makes it a lot easier, which is why I do think that they should do something about that. Because if they don't, like, I don't see a lot of people using palicos if they're min maxing. Like it'll be hard to beat just basically getting like a free get out of jail free card at any point during a fight.
Yeah, I think min-maxing wise, yeah, the Palamutes will always get chosen. I've been choosing Palico a lot just because I like cats a lot. And so my whole mindset is if I really need to heal or sharpen, I immediately go up a cliff, and I'm in safe area immediately.
I need to see how the monsters react to that if you're solo, because they did say that they tweaked the AI so that monsters would be able to react to that. One of the things that I definitely notice is that their hitboxes are some do, some might not, but
poor Izuchi is like probably the beginning monster of the game, so he can't do like anything. He just stands there as you shoot him with a bow gun. It's like pew 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 pew. Wait, I'm like, well, he's like probably this. Eh?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so I go into the safe area and I just pew him to death with a bow gun. He can't do anything to you.
So he just lets you shoot him down from a vantage
Well, he
point?
tries to whap you with his tail, but he can't get up that high. If anything, it's the stupid Jagras behind me that get in the way more than he does.
Interesting.
But again, I think he's probably the starting monster. So Arzuros will generally just be like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, he doesn't care. If you're not there, he's like, I'm out of here. Rathian will throw fireballs at you. Mizutsune can throw bubbles all the way up to almost like the middle high cliff of the map. If you test it out, if you go up and you try to like run away and sharpen, like it's got very good eyesight and it'll try to bubble you off. I think they're just trying to counteract gunners at this point. But then again, once you get so far away, your gunner ammo doesn't do anything, so it doesn't matter. But for like that area in the corridor with the Great Izuchi, you could just jump up the little wall and just pew 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 pew. He can't do nothing.
My God, dude!
I think he can try to spit water at you, but if you're like just far back enough, like he really can't do anything.
Yeah, I was about to say he does have like
one projectile. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that one projectile that he can do, and I would assume that would be able to hit you, but I guess not that hard. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm curious about is, did you just multiplayer with Yuna, or did you try it out with more people?
So I've primarily soloed it, and then she got the demo, and she's been really enjoying it. This is her first like legit Monster Hunter game, so to say, like mainstream game. Mm-hmm. And she's been picking it up really good. So I've been playing mostly with her on local. But we did do one hunt online because she wanted to see what it was like. So I sniped her room really fast and we got in 2 randoms. And we had she's like, this is fun. She had a really good time. Okay. But we only did that once.
So she enjoyed it. What weapon were you playing?
I think I was doing light bowgun because I didn't want to get into the fray, so to say.
And she was playing the bow.
Yeah, so we did it smart. We realized we didn't want to be flinched all over the place. So
yeah, so I actually, in one of my live streams, I went in there and I was like, okay guys, here's the lobby, let's get in here. It was terrible. Like I really did not like it at all. Like it was weird because you know how there's the 4 hunters and then there's the 4 dogs, and everyone is beating on the monster at the same time. And to top it off with the group that I was in, I did a terrible mistake, which is I picked a lance.
Oh my gosh.
It does not have flinch free. And in that group, there was also a hunting horn and a dual blades user. So that was potentially like the worst possible scenario.
Oh, yeah. All you need now is a longsword and you'd be really gone.
Yeah. So I went in there and the game was basically unplayable for me. You know, eventually you'll get flinch free, but flinch free is not going to solve all of the problems that I saw there. And I don't know why it was so apparent in this game, where I didn't really see it as a problem as much in like World and in GU. I think it might be because of the monsters that are available in the demo. They're relatively small.
They're small. They're small, yeah.
They're pretty small. They're not really big monsters.
Go on World or Iceborne and try doing 4 people versus Kuluyaku. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's going to be...
That, and the maps are much wider. So I think the demo map, you have a tendency of getting narrowed into a corridor more than you did in World.
Yeah, so there's basically a lot. It felt like there wasn't a lot of room to move in general because, I went into the Mizutsune hunt and I was like, okay, guys, let's kill all the monsters in here, right? Let's hunt everything, kill everything. And I just felt like there was too much on screen. So even if there wasn't for the fact, like even if I had Brace, right? Let's say I had Brace, I still feel like I wouldn't have had a very good time because of the fact that there was too much happening at once. It was just like a big mess of everything that was going off and people throwing silk bind abilities everywhere. So there was silk bind going off. There was the dogs doing their attacks with the spinny things. And it's just like, and there's dual blades, blade dancing. There's the hunting horns. All of these things are happening. And I'm just sitting there in the middle with my lance just going like, boom, 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 just getting flailed all over the place. And I was like, I don't know, dude, this definitely felt like too much. But it's one of those things that we got to see it in the actual final game. But I almost feel like from that experience that I wish that maybe if they would go back on the Palamutes and Palicos thing. So like if there's 2 players, then yeah, each of you gets like a pet. But if there's 4 players, I don't think there should be any pets in the field because it's too much. It just gets like a big mess and there's so much happening on screen at once.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I'm curious to see how to work in the final game with monsters that are more agile. So I'm thinking just watching some of the gameplay from like Bishaten, like how fast that thing moves around the field. I imagine you'll have less situations where everybody's grouped together. But I can definitely see where it's annoying. I've seen some clips of 4 people and it seems like mayhem.
Yeah.
And maybe 2 or 3 is going to be like the ideal way to play, so to say.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking like 2 players feels great because like, I've hunted with some people and just had like me and another person and that felt great. But like more than 2 feels like it might be a little bit too much. And it's weird because I didn't feel the same thing in World. And I didn't feel the same thing in GU, but in this one, maybe it's because the maps, like we already talked about, the map is definitely smaller than the maps that we've had in the past.
It just has a lot of mobility, right? So like,
there's
someone
a lot
gets
of
knocked, they're immediately flying back into the area. So
yeah, it's a little bit weird. I don't know exactly how I still feel about that. I'm still a little bit conflicted, but obviously we're gonna have to wait and see the final game. And we'll see if they maybe go back on the 4 Palicos and 4 Hunters. It might be a little bit too.
I also have a feeling that once we get mid-game, I can't imagine those dogs and cats are going to survive that long. I imagine they're going to get KO'd a lot faster. So that should knock down on some of the action, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's that as well. But they do the monsters do seem to target them as well, right? Because like at least when I'm soloing,
they do, but they don't target them as much. Yeah, they have a priority setting for the hunter, but they're not going to ignore them either.
Yeah, but it's like when you have 4 hunters, there's like 7 other targets besides yourself. It's going to make it hard also on certain weapons that rely maybe on counters. Like longsword users might actually have a little bit of a harder time landing their foresight slashes. Lance users with their counters and whatnot, it's going to be a little bit trickier. But again, that's one of those things that we'll have to see what it looks like in the final game, because that was like I think the biggest negative thing that I would have to point out from my experience so far. Because other than that, it's been friggin' fantastic. Just like seeing everything, exploring the endemic life, just trying out the different weapons. Like what's I hesitate to say like your favorite weapon, but what's been the biggest surprise to you so far? Like I haven't looked deeply into.
Have you used all the weapons? If so, we can just do like a flash, like overall, like a one-liner, like what do you feel about it? Or if you want, we can just go through our top 3, so to say, that stick out in our heads.
We can talk through all the weapons because I've used all of the weapons, but I've only made videos on I think 8 weapons.
Mm.
But
only eight, he says only 8.
Well, I mean, I think you've done more videos that really.
Well, for weapons, I think maybe.
Okay, it might be.
I don't think I've done that many weapons. I think I've done like 7.
Okay, but it's like I've played all of them, so I have a pretty good idea of where I stand on most of these weapons. But okay, shoot off, call them out.
Okay, so we'll just go in order. So I mean, like greatsword. I mean, I like it. Feels solid. Feels like greatsword. I didn't actually have anything too special to say about the weapon because I think it's one of those weapons that doesn't demo very well, and the fact that you generally don't have armor skills in demos, right? So you don't have focus, you don't have quick sheath, you don't have any of the bells and whistles that you would normally be using with the weapon, and I think that it kind of suffers a little bit because of it. But for the general moveset and the feel of it, I like it. Like the hit and away type of gameplay works really well with Wirebugs. So I imagine a quick sheath critical draw build is going to be a very comfy way to play the game.
I actually think that you don't need quick sheath at all for the greatsword that you have in here. Have you tried out power sheath?
You have the art, right?
Dude, power sheath. Basically, I never sheath it normally, ever. If I had Wirebugs, I would always power sheath because it gives you mobility. So it moves you either out of danger or into danger. It increases your damage. And it just feels great. The other art, though, I didn't like that much. The hunting edge or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I didn't touch it too much because, I mean, the downward stab was really nice, but doing like an aerial charge, you could do that from a normal Wirebug anyways, right?
Yeah.
And with your weapon being put away so often, at least how I play the weapon, I always had the Wirebug as an option.
Yeah, I would always rather jump in with a Wirebug over that particular skill because I found it tricky to land because like you jump off and then you jump off of the monster and then you're supposed to still do a charge up and I'm just like, dude, I missed
the monster's usually long gone by the time you're hitting the ground,
And on top of it, it burns 2 of your Wirebugs. And I'm like, dude, those 2 Wirebugs could have been another power sheath and just a friggin' regular Wirebug jump. So but I had a blast with greatsword. I was actually surprised because when I started playing it, I was like, I don't know, I don't like it. Then I started doing the thing where it's just like never sheath the weapon, always power sheath the weapon, even if you still have the buff, just power sheath it anyway. And the weapon, it completely changed it for me, and it was not a problem after that. Like it felt great.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a huge greatsword player. But I do enjoy the weapon quite a bit. So I love the charge effects for me feel more predominant than they were in the past games. So like knowing when to release during the charge felt really easy to do. Like your whole hunter chart, like the color effect is huge. And it's really helpful when you're trying to pull off that true charge because you don't know, depending on the combo path, right? You have to hold it for a 2 count or a 3 count. So that was kind of nice to see. But the damage, it's just... Nothing beats seeing like, 300-400 whatever on the damage counter. Ugh, I feel so good.
there's something
I think I need to get better. I need to get better at the tackle though.
There's definitely something that beats it. I'll tell you what it is when we get there. It's like the most impressive thing I've seen in this demo so far, and it's like really blowing me away. Okay, keep going. Which one's the next one? I don't actually know the orders.
Good. It's a longsword. Oh, okay. So longsword. So longsword, I mean, I've been tweeting a lot about this, but this is the weapon I've always wanted to get good at, and it just hasn't fully clicked for me yet. It will eventually, so I'm not giving up. But longsword just like, I mean, how could you not say that it's insanely solid? There's so much you can do with that weapon. It's just a matter of how much time and skill are you willing to invest. You put that in there and you're Superman. I mean, you can do anything.
I would argue that weapon is too good. And that's actually one of the reasons why I personally don't like it all that much. Because I feel like it's better than it has any right to be. Because like, and I've made this argument.
Yeah,
and people seem to get upset with me when I bring this up because they seem to think that I don't like it because it's popular. And it's like, well, I love the Charge Blade. That was pretty popular during World 2. So I don't think it's because it's a popularity. I just think that the weapon is a little bit too versatile. So like you're able to stay on the offensive throughout most of the hunt. And if you know the monster that you're hunting, which is why maybe my gameplay even looked a little bit better, because I'm not a good longsword user. But what I did was, when I went for the gameplay that I showed in the longsword video, I hunted a Rathian. Like, everybody knows the Rathian moves, which makes it easier to counter the Rathian. And even then, I still whiffed a lot of counters. But like, the thing about the longsword for me is that it's able to stay on the offensive the entire time, or at least most of the time. And like, if the monster does anything threatening, foresight slash. And not only it dodges out of the way, has a ton of invincibility frames, and on top of it, if you land it, it also fully levels up your spirit gauge. And I'm just like, ugh. And then on top of it, there's the EI. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. The
EI. You got it. Yeah, the EI.
The EI spirit slash, which it used to de-level. It used to de-level your spirit gauge in Monster Hunter World if you whiffed it.
Oh wow!
Now it doesn't anymore.
Whoa!
So not only it doesn't reduce your spirit level, it also increases it if you land it. So it's just a straight up buff. But I believe that the movement value got nerfed a little bit or something. People are saying that. I don't know. But that's 2 counters right there. Then they give it another counter in the form of a Silk Mind attack, which I believe deals more damage based around the level of your spirit gauge. So it's like 3 counters. And people were even telling me that the regular EI slash can also counter. And I was like, dude. Like, what stops this weapon?
The Helm Splitter is really good, right? And the thing is because you're so close to the monster.
Yeah.
It's not like the Greatsword where you, like we were saying, when you have to do the forward vault and you got to jump off onto the monster, jump off the monster. It's not like that with this weapon, because you're like, you do it when you're like literally 3 centimeters from its head. And so you immediately jump in the air, and then you can do the Helm Splitter, which feels really good. Yeah, I will say that. It's pure dopamine. That weapon, it feels good.
And people were saying that like there was also an increase in damage on the Helmbreaker. So they were comparing the damage that this Helmbreaker deals to like the damage of Endgame in Monster Hunter World. Which, if you look at the numbers that we're dealing right now, we're like, wait, what?
We're like like 53 times 6. I'm like, that's a lot of damage. We'll have to see how it looks in the final game, how that scales. Like, who knows? Maybe they just made it a little too powerful in the demo.
People were getting ticks of like 80 damage with the hunting horn buffs. So that's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. But it's like,
wow.
Some people might say, oh, you're judging it based on them. It's like, no. I'm not judging it based on its movement values or on the damage that it's dealing.
It's the move set. Yeah,
it's just the move set of the sword. That's why I think it's so powerful. And again, I'm not telling people don't play longsword. Like, if you like it, you should definitely play it. You should always play the weapon that you like. That's what we always say here. You should play the weapon that you like. You should play it the way that you like. You should have the most fun you can possibly get out of the game. That's the way to do it. I just say that for me personally, I still think that the weapon is too powerful.
Yeah, it feels a little too good in the hands. You're kind of like, I can do anything.
It actually turns me off a little bit, because I like weapons to have like, I know that this sounds silly, but I like weapons to have like a certain flaw. So that's like, it really excels in here, but then if it's put into this scenario, then it's got this problem. Like, I feel that almost builds character to the weapon
I think, and this might go into Dark Souls, because you play you're obviously Mr. Dark Souls to me. But like, it's the same thing. Like, you've got certain builds, right? And you've got builds that are tailored towards a specific way of play. And it's like role playing, right? You're like, I'm a Lancer. There's certain things that I'm good at, certain things I'm not. I'm a Pyromancer. There's certain things I'm good at, certain things I'm not. Where the longsword is kind of like, okay, we're just going to give you 80 in every stat. Go for it. And you're like, well, I could tailor into one specific stereotype of gameplay, but I don't feel like the game has encouraged me to do anything except counter and go bung-ho on the monster.
Yeah.
I guess countering is the thing for the weapon, where in the older games it used to be about repositioning, right? Position used to be the big thing, and now it's just like, why would you reposition when you can just counter everything? The fade slash, does anybody even use that anymore?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see people using it that often like that. I tend to use it because I'm not very good at the weapon, so I'll use it sometimes because it reduces the amount of spirit slashes that you have to do to level up your spirit gauge. So like sometimes I would use it for that, but I believe you can also do that with the EIE. With the EI slash, also reduces the amount of stuff.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
I'm going to add in a second disclaimer though. Like, I started to cut you off there accidentally, but second disclaimer, like we're not hating on the longsword. If anything, we're loving on it. Exactly. I know someone's gonna walk away with this like they're shit talking the weapon. I'm like, no, we're saying that it's really good. Golden.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really good. I still remember the first time that I picked up the longsword was actually because this was in 3 Ultimate, and because I was playing with a friend who had a bow and we needed a solution to cut tails, and I'm just like, well, this longsword weapon seems like it's pretty good for that.
I think you can reach the tail.
Yeah, I think I can reach the tail with a longsword. It's called a longsword. That's the other thing the weapon has. Yeah. It's got such a massive reach when compared with so many of the other weapons. It's insane. So,
but I'll say, a weapon's only as good as the wielder, and I'm still not very good at the weapons. So as wonderfully powerful as the weapon is, I can kick ass with other weapons better because it's just how I play. I don't know if it's age or something. I'm just getting really bad at countering. Like, I think I'm preempting stuff too much. Maybe I know the moveset too much. It might be because I'm a lancer, right? So you're preempting is more important than reacting, right? So
yeah, you might be thinking
my
like
windows
that.
are all screwed up.
I spammed so many counters with my Gunlance. It was insane, but yeah.
I think I pulled off 1 foresight slash in my first hunt. Just one. I think I whiffed every single one. And I'm like, what are the people saying the window is really forgiving? No, it's not. And then I started getting the hang of it a little bit. I'm like, okay, I can see now. Like if you're not horrible like me, then
it also depends on the monster that you're fighting. Because like if you're fighting Mizu, I found very hard to predict because you only fight Mizu in Gen U, or I only fought Mizu in Gen U. I also fought him in Gen, but that's been a while, and I wasn't using like longsword for him. So yeah, they changed a lot of his moves as well. I feel like this Mizu feels very different from Mizu in Gen U. So
yeah, I love how it feels this time. Well, that's longsword. So again, disclaimer 3: we're not hating on it. We're loving it.
Yes.
So I feel the longsword riot outside the doors right now, like pounding in, like, what do you say about it?
Particularly because
we're praising it.
It is an extremely popular weapon at the end of the day. There's a lot of people that love it.
For good reason. That's good. For good reason.
That's good. Enjoy the weapon.
Especially some people are going to enjoy the fact that it's very anime and this is a very Japanese feeling game. So you own it, love it. Like go for it, I say.
Exactly.
Okay, now this one you'll talk a lot more than I will in this one, but tell me about Sword and Shield.
Oh my god, dude. Sword and Shield is so good. It is so incredibly good. Like, I friggin' love it. So we get pretty much the same moveset that we had in Monster Hunter World. So we have Perfect Rush back. Perfect Rush this time around, however, does not clutch onto the monster at the end. So in World, the final hit of Perfect Rush, if you nailed it perfectly, it would attach you onto the monster, and then you would pull the blade out and deal a ton of damage. And this one, what it does is it does the same thrust, but then it uses it to leap off of the monster, and it gives you 3 options while you're in the air. You can do a falling bash with the shield, you can do the helm breaker that I like so much with the sword and shield, or you can just do a regular slash, which nobody is really going to do because it's the weakest of the 3 attacks. So that's like Perfect Rush, but interestingly enough, we were just talking about it earlier in the podcast, the Spinning Reaper move. I really, really like it. It basically enables you to still do the infinite combo that a lot of people liked. I'm not a big fan of the infinite combo, but basically you can now go, I think, XXAA and then X plus A and then repeat. And that just lets you do the infinite combo for as much as you want, which is very good for dealing a ton of elemental damage because it doesn't include any shield hits. Now, I'm not sure if the shield's going to deal elemental damage in this one because there's no elemental damage in the demo from what I can tell. That's actually something that I'm curious to see because I think the shield did elemental damage in Gen U, but it didn't deal elemental damage in World. I don't know why that was. It's kind of weird. So we still don't know what's going to happen there. Then you have the 2 arts, which I like both of them. The first one is the one where basically you just like jump off of the monster. This is kind of like aerial style sword and shield in Gen U. Pretty much.
The reason why I like that art is because unlike the greatsword one or the hammer, the distance that you travel is identical pretty much to like when you use a normal Wirebug. It feels like you're using a Wirebug with your weapon out, even though it's technically an art.
It's more predictable.
The muscle memory of the distance is right there.
Yeah, it feels more predictable and easier to land than a lot of the other moves that you have in the game. So it feels very solid. And from that one, you can also do the Helm Breaker and the Falling Bash, or just a regular slash if you want to. And the other Silkbind art is essentially the return of Round Force from Gen U, which you're basically, you have some invincibility frames while you're doing it. It does cost 2 Wirebugs though, but it does a ton of hits, which is going to be fantastic for elemental damage. So that all feels solid. The Spinning Reaper, the fact that
it deals I'm curious if that's going to have elemental though, because you're technically flipping a kunai, right? You're not flipping your sword, right?
No, it's the sword.
Oh, it is. Oh,
it is. It's like the tip of the sword, at least from, it looks like to me, the tip of the sword detaches or something. And then he just like spins it around. I'm not 100% sure if that is what happens or not, but I think it's the sword. But yeah, I think it should have elemental damage. We'll see if that is the case or not. But yeah, there's that Silkbind, and then the Spinning Reaper move. I really loved it because it was just such an interesting discovery that like I did this attack, and when I did it, I was like, okay, so this attack does like 20 something damage, and then I do the A combo where you just like slash 3 times, and then do the Spinning Reaper at the end. It's like suddenly it does triple the damage, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it does like 16. You're like, what?
Yeah, I was like,
it looks really cool. I love the animation on it. It looks like you're going, bitch, psh, you know, like you're swiping with it really hard.
It is. And you can actually use that to finish the perfect rush as well. If you don't want to like attach and launch off of the monster, you can finish with a Spinning Reaper as well. So overall,
what are your thoughts on that counter that you can do, the guard slash? It's got a really tight window, and if you do it, I think you can pull off a perfect rush from it. What's your thoughts on that?
I didn't like it at all. I barely even used it because I tried using it, and what happens is, like you and I were talking about, like most of the monsters in this demo, they kind of like send you reeling when you block, so that cancels the parry. Yeah. And it's like, I'm thinking, is there ever going to be a realistic scenario where I'm actually going to slot guard for Sword and Shield? And I was like, probably not. So it's like, you can use it maybe on monsters that don't hit as hard. Like maybe there's a couple of attacks on the Azuchi or a couple of attacks on Urzuros, or like the monster they showcased it in on the showcase was Kuliaku. So it's like, yeah, sure. For monsters like that, you can get the occasional parry, but ultimately it's a core move, so to say. I think the best use scenario that someone pointed out to me is roars. And I haven't really tried that. Like roars. I haven't tried that because I've been, I did, that could be pretty cool. I did Gunlance, then Sword and Shield, and then I've been, focusing on learning all of the other weapons properly. So I never went back to the SNS, but if it works on roars, then I could see it work and
good utility.
I could see good utility there, but other than that, and it also depends, like if the roar ends up knocking you back, like I'm not going to slot for guard on SNS. Like it's just not going to happen.
But come on, you better, man. We're gonna have the guard 2 guard up Sword and Shield counter build. It's gonna be great.
Hell no. There's plenty of other ways to get the perfect rush. I don't need that. Oh yeah, one more important change that, and we're getting to really nitty gritty here, but like I feel that this change kind of like exemplifies something that I think is important, which is, you know how you used to do the combo on Sword and Shield. If you would just like spam A, it would automatically go into back hop at the end of the combo.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that anymore. So if you want to go into back hop, you have to manually input the back hop. And I think that's important. I think that's important because I feel like a lot of players probably only ever did back hop when they reached the end of the combo, and they never did it like intentionally. And now they're like, no. You want to get to the back hop, you learn how to do the back hop, and then you'll know how it works. And so I was pretty happy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the back hop have a few iframes at the front of it?
Has a ton of iframes, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be a good move for anyone that just starts Sword and Shield to actually master. So I'm happy that they did that.
That's cool. No, I like the fact that it really falls into that slot of, if you want combos and intricate timing and execution, and you just want the all-rounder that does everything, it really does satisfy all those boxes. I only tried it twice so far in the demo, so I can't really talk too much about it, but for what I felt, it felt really neat. And it felt actually quite powerful.
It's so, like...
yeah, I think so.
My main is between that and the Gunlance. Like, those are my 2 main weapons, 100% nice. For Rise.
Yeah, it feels good. I like it. But the next one is one I've been using a lot. I don't know about you, but dual blades. And I am digging the dual blades.
I've played them a little bit, but you start.
Yeah, so this is I've been playing. Actually, me and Yuna have been doing dual blades. That's a mouthful. We've been having a lot of fun with it. See, I didn't really touch dual blades much in World or Iceborne, so I was not. It didn't strike me until someone mentioned it on Twitter. But one of the things that I hated about that in World and Iceborne was that when you're in demon mode, if you get hit, it doesn't knock you out of demon mode. So I'd constantly find myself out of stamina. Like you'd get hit or something and you're like, oh, I'm still in demon mode. I forgot to deactivate. And it became a nuisance to me. Where in the older games, if you're in demon mode, if you get hit, you automatically get thrown back into archdemon mode or normal, right? You don't stay in demon mode.
I was not aware of that in the older games.
It makes it super intuitive. Like you're like, I go in demon mode, I go crazy. If I get hit, it's step back, try again. You know, like you don't have to think about it. Where in this game, it's like that. So like going into demon mode, like you get this huge aura around you, so it's super clear. I am in demon mode right now. Then you get hit or you go out of it. You're in archdemon mode, which archdemon feels really great. It could be a placebo, but the amount that the stamina decreases in demon mode feels slower to me. It could, again, I haven't played the weapon for a while, so maybe it's just, bad memory. But just like the moveset is great. It's like furious, fast. The slingshot move, I'm a huge fan of, where you just spin yourself forward. And just the amount of speed that you get when you're running in demon mode feels so good. And Archdemon mode, this is another change I was not aware of. Again, because I didn't play it much in World and Iceborne. But when you're in Archdemon mode, you still get the awesome dash from Demon mode.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, I didn't realize that because I was doing it constantly because Archdemon mode is very good. I mean, you get the slingshot, you get the good combos, you get the dash, and then when you get the opportunity, you go straight to Demon and you go crazy or you build up your gauge again. To me, it simplifies the weapon, right? You're just like, I don't want to run out of gauge. And it's not that hard. I just go into demon mode, hit X a bunch of times. I'm good to go. If I got a big opening, I'll do the Devil's Dance, whatever, the X and A. So to me, it's just the simplicity of the weapon. And that's the counter. The Silkbind counter is adept style. Like, I don't know if you played adept dual blades.
I did play. I don't know if I played dual blades, but that did feel like adept style because I played a lot of weapons in adept. Yeah.
Like when you bring out the Silkbind, the Wirebug, and you do a zip forward, it doesn't matter any single frame inside that animation. If you get hit, you immediately counter and evade the attack. It doesn't matter. It could be at the very tail end of it. So if Mitsune is doing like its water jet gun,
so it's
hold ZL and press A and boom, super generous. So not only is it good like iframe evade, but if you're close to the monster, it does hits as well. Like that to me is just like crazy. And the kunai is really fun. One thing I was surprised about was when you do the kunai attack, I thought from looking at the videos that it would be like 30-second period, right? And like you would try to maneuver and hit that body part and do some hits and then it would blow up. Oh my gosh, it's like 5 seconds. It's like so there's kind of like a bait, and the game is kind of cruel in that you're kind of led into thinking, I want to do the demon's dance. I know I'm getting the names in these wrong, but I think you want to do that X and A attack. Blade dance, yeah. If you do that right after you do the kunai, your hunter just pushes himself back just a little bit, and you end up whiffing on everything.
Oh my god!
So I think what you're supposed to do is do like a single dash forward after you do the move, but it's so unintuitive that you end up like whiffing on everything, and it only does like 60 damage, and you're like sad face because the recharge on that thing is pretty slow. Yeah. But just having the adept evade and being able to be aggressive, to me, that's like, I love it. I'm just totally in love with the weapon. What are your thoughts? People seem to think that it's like way too weak or something, but I'm like, it's a demo. It's dual blades have no element on there. Come on, like that's not exactly how you're gonna be playing in the game, anyways.
That's the thing. They don't have element. It's like until they have element, then of course they're gonna look weak. Like that. That's the problem with us not having element in this demo. But One thing that I wanted to ask you, because I don't remember at this point, how many Wirebugs is the kunai thing?
They're only one for both. It's only one, but it recharges it. But man, does it recharge so slow?
I think the recharge rate is the same for every weapon when you're in combat.
I don't think it is. Again, it might be a placebo, but for me, watching it, it feels slow as hell. Where the counter seems to recharge faster.
I think they recharge at the same speed, but I'm not 100% sure. But here's what I can tell you about the dual blades.
So good.
I didn't like dual blades in World. The reason I didn't like it was precisely because it felt too simple. And on top of it, like Archdemon mode, because I didn't even know that much about mechanics of dual blades when I started using them in World. So I started using them and I'm like reading through the description. I'm like, Archdemon mode, like sounds really cool. It's not. It sucked. It was.
It's like a poor man's version of demon mode. Right?
Exactly. And in World, it was definitely a poor man's version of demon mode. But in Rise, Archdemon mode actually feels good. Like you have a better dodge than you had in World. You still move somewhat fast. Like demon mode, I think you move faster in Rise in demon mode than you did in World. And you have that. You have like the Blade Dance version of Archdemon mode, which is like you had like 3 attacks or whatever with X+A.
Yeah, they changed a little bit, yeah.
So that felt great. Like when I initially used the dual blades, I was like, man, these feel way better than they did in World. Like way better. Like super solid.
The demo though, you're gonna get a lot of like 4s and 5s and 6s and like low numbers, so it feels like crap. But that's because it's a demo.
Yeah.
I could still take down Mizutsune, relatively fast with it. We were able to cut off the tail in like the first 3 minutes. The two of us, like we were really good at it.
So I think the dual blades are going to be very solid. As a matter of fact, there's a friend of mine that is always indecisive between like dual blades and bow and arrow. I'm telling him, dude, I think you'd love the dual blades in Rise because dual blades feel friggin' solid as hell. The moveset that they have, the counter is also a lot of fun. And even the kunai, like I was kind of scared of the kunai because it reminded me of Wormstake Blast, but it doesn't have nearly as much investment as you needed for the Wormstake Blast, and it's a very fast thing that you kind of do, and it ends very fast. So it's not like the Wormstake Blast was something that you had to keep on the monster, and that is just like a little bit of bonus damage that you're doing every now and then, which also brings something from Gen U, which is like the old Wolf's Maw. You probably remember that, right?
Yeah.
It did double the hits, so you get to do double the hits while that thing is in the monster, which also feels really good. Particularly as a punish whenever you get like a down or something, just like boom, stab him with it, and then just like go to town. Like that feels great. And I've done very little hunts with them, but the few hunts that I did, I was like, dude, dual blades feels friggin' solid.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I like about it is that when I first approached the weapon, it looks complex, but it's not, and I think it's one thing I like. It's simplicity. Where Sword and Shield is certainly complex. I think there's no argument there. With just all the different inputs and stuff, if you want to use all your tools, there's a lot to remember and commit to memory. Dual Blades is like the simple, like I'm going to go crazy version, but positioning is such a key factor, and being able to run around like Naruto, like just like to the tail, like here he goes. Like it's a feel good weapon, so I'm very happy with it in the demo.
Dual Blade's definitely a lot of fun.
Now we get into some of the fun ones. I want to say the next one is Hammer.
Ooh, man.
I just blabbed a lot about dual blades, so you take the honors and walk us through your thoughts on the Hammer.
So Hammer, I'm a little bit confused by it because I don't entirely understand what they're doing with it in the demo, because I don't know what the deal is with I want to call them hammer stances, whatever it is that they're doing there, which is like back in World. I don't know how much you played Hammer in World, but you had this thing where you would charge the hammer and then you would press the circle button and that would just like charge the hammer even further. And it would change the moveset slightly, but basically the idea is you always wanted to have your hammer charged.
Yeah, it's just like more KO or whatever, right?
Yeah. And here, it's like whenever you do that input, it swaps your hammer stance to something different. And they don't really do a good job of explaining what exactly that does. So the one thing that I noticed it did is it changes the level 3 charge abilities on the hammer. So if you're in yellow stance, you have the basic moveset that you know of the hammer, which is whenever you stop moving in the 3rd charge, he does like a downward slam. And if you're moving during the 3rd charge, he does like the spinning attack. And then if you are on the other stance, then he just does 2 different versions of like the slam down thing. One of them is actually the Big Bang finisher. So that is really good. So I would usually be in the blue stance because you get the Big Bang finisher. But they changed something with the spinning attack, which is at the end of it, you do the golf swing. At the end of the golf swing, if you press A, you get the Big Bang finisher as well. So it's like... So I don't know what's the best combo for the hammer right now when there's a down. Like, I don't know if I want to do the Big Bang, if I want to do the spinning attack and then finish with the Big Bang finisher. Like, it's a very exciting time because we don't know what's the best to do right now. I mean, I'm sure that someone's probably mathed it out and they figured it out, but it's like at this point in time, it's still all kind of like in the air. So it's very exciting to just try out all different combos that you can do with the hammer and to figure it out. But ultimately, the hammer is always that same weapon that's about how much time do I have to beat on you? Do I have like 2 seconds to beat on you? Then here's this combo. Do I have 5 seconds to beat on you? Then here's this other combo. So,
and now they're giving us choices. And it's like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah, there's so many different choices as to what you can do. And then there's that beautiful, gorgeous silkbind art called the Impact Crater. Like, I friggin' love that one. Like, your hunter's just like left hanging off of the hammer in the air. That thing to me is amazing. And here's the interesting thing that I don't know if everybody got that, but it says so in the hunter's notes. That thing deals more damage if you charge your hammer before you do it. And it's the same thing for the spinning bludgeon. And we should also mention hammer, the only weapon that gets to retain its sliding attack, which is the spinning bludgeon.
It's so weird, isn't it?
No, it's Ryozu's weapon. It's favoritism, like plain and simple.
He's like, no, you're not getting rid of that, even though you just gave us the ability to do the spinning attack on demand, and you can hold it and wait for the monster to come at you.
Exactly.
That thing. See, I love the Impact Crater, but the other art is awesome as well. Like, you just hold ZL and X or whatever, and you just wait, and you're like, come on, and then you in the air.
I think
what a feel good weapon.
I think I did that particular move one time too many in World, so it's not as new to me because like I did that a lot. Like whenever there was a slope, like I'd be spinning, bludgeoning all the way even if it wasn't the most optimal thing to do, I'm like, I don't care. Spinning, look, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, dude, with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like there you go, I don't care.
One thing I've been noticing some people doing is, and this goes into what you were saying before, where the yellow hammer seems to have some different combo paths than the purple one. Because the purple ones are a little bit faster on the execution, and I think they do more KO, where the yellow ones are a little bit slower, but they're more powerful. Whereas I see people using the purple hammer, and then when they get the down, they immediately switch over to the yellow one by hitting A, and it retains or it pushes you into a level 3 charge.
It pushes you to level 3.
Then you do the Impact Crater, and then you do the finisher like you were saying. It's interesting seeing people doing switches right before they do a Wirebug art.
I didn't even think about swapping from blue to yellow to get Impact Crater. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's like, because when you switch, I don't know if it's just because of the timing that it feels like it pushes you into a level 3 charge.
No.
It could just be that it's the timing of
No. It 100% pushes you, but only from blue to yellow, not the other way around.
Yeah, so people like use the you call it blue. I think for me, I saw it as purple, but
it's whatever. Okay, blue, purple.
Yeah, so
there's the two stances. There's yellow and the other color, basically. We can call it purple. I really don't care.
Yeah, but yeah, so I see people using it, and they'll hit A, go right into the Impact Crater, and do the super finisher, and it's just like that's pretty cool. I like that tech, and that's the thing that I want to mention now is the word like weapon tech is very much a thing I'm seeing in this demo. Is like little small tricks that you can do that can add a little spice to your arsenal. Little tricks that you don't need to do, but they're pretty cool. Like there's so many little tech things that people are finding.
And here's something else that people were telling me in the comment sections of my hammer video was that when you swap from the purple to yellow, that little move that you do, swapping from purple to yellow, it's got iframes on it.
Oh my God.
People were telling me it's got, I don't know. I haven't tested it myself, but people were saying that thing's got iframes. People are calling it like the Valor Hammer style. And I was like, what?
Are you kidding me? Okay, you know what? After we get to this podcast, the first thing I'm doing is going to Mizutsune and being like, hit me with your water. And I'm going to like, if that thing lets me avoid it, then you are going to conflict me on which weapon I'm going to play through story, because that would be crazy.
Oh, man. Yep.
Oh,
Hammer is super solid, dude.
But that Silkbind attack where you just you hit the X or you do the flip in the air, you can pull that thing off so fast that like what I've been doing against Mizutsune is that if I see the water stream coming, I'll just do that attack and I jump right over it and I smash him in the face.
Yep.
It's the utility, the hammer is looking fabulous.
I mean, even back in World, I called it one of the most fun weapons to play. Like I actually converted a hunting horn user. Dark Hero has been a hunting horn main. And I just told, you should try the hammer, dude. It's a lot of fun. And he was like, hammer's the best thing ever. And I was like, yes, it is.
Hammer to me falls in the bucket of dual blades, where it's not a hard weapon mechanically to use. It feels good, and there's lots of room to master it, right? So like the more you know the monster, the better the weapon gets.
So let me ask you something. Did you play Hammer during Iceborne at all?
I did quite a bit, actually.
Okay.
I really liked the hammer in Iceborne. It was one of my favorite weapons, actually.
I was going to ask you if you knew about the clutch claw spinning bludgeon. That thing was so good, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I love doing that.
So, yeah, I think that is a good cover of the hammer. So why don't you take us into the hunting horn, which is the hot topic, the new kid on the block, the re-envisioning of the weapon.
It's actually being somewhat divisive. I don't know if you've seen, like, I don't know if your comment section is the same as mine, but it almost feels like the old school of hunting horn. Exactly. The old school of hunting horn players feel like they don't like the simplicity of the weapon. And as I keep reminding people, you can just button mash it. Yeah, but as I like to remind people, like, we haven't seen everything. There's still a lot of stuff that Capcom is yet to reveal. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Hold your judgment, yeah.
Exactly. Just hold your judgment until the final game comes out, because things are definitely going to change. Like, we've seen different moves on weapons that we don't get to do in the demo, so there's still a lot of stuff to be revealed. But either way, the way that it is right now, I personally like it more because I had problems with the old hunting horn. Like, I would rarely play it because keeping up with the songs was like, it was almost one of those things, like, it's a great weapon if you main it, but something for you to play every now and then, it would not be something that would be a good time. Like, there are obviously the people who do corner horning, and like, that's whatever, if that's your thing, that is significantly easier to do. But like, actually doing proper hunting horn, where you're actually attacking the monster and maintaining the melodies in the old game, it was one of the most complicated weapons for me personally. And the way that they did it now
I get that that's why it's rewarding, right? It's like the complication, learning the complications was very rewarding. So I understand, and I will acknowledge the camp that says they're a little apprehensive about how easy it is to use. I get that. I think it's a valid comment for now. Well, like you said, that we'll have to see, because this game is only proving that they have lots of stuff up their sleeve. Yeah.
So, but the way that it is right now, I think it's an extremely fun weapon that pretty much anyone can just pick up and play. Like, literally anybody can pick. All you got to do, like, to get all of your buffs is like you play one of each note and then press right trigger and
so
X.
Just don't spam the same button over and over again and you're golden.
Yeah. Yeah, just use one of each note, press ZR and X, and you buff everyone with everything, and you're good to go. Although, before you do that, you should probably use just one hit on the trigger, which will give you self-improvement, which is a big thing that you want to get for yourself. You move faster, your hits don't bounce. It's freaking great. Like, the hunting horn was the first weapon that I beat Mizutsune with, because it just felt so solid. Like, you just go up to him and you just wail on him until he dies.
You feel like a tank. Yeah, it's...
I didn't even knew exactly what I was doing, but I was destroying him. And then when I used the Silkbind art, where basically he just like does a guitar riff at the end, I was like, dude,
Yeah.
the style on it was friggin' awesome. And then
what I like is the range on that is so much better than the kunai on the dual blades.
Oh yeah,
you can be a good hop away from the monster, and you can still thrust that into its face.
Yeah, but it is a bigger investment as well because that I believe is a 2 Wirebug move. So it kind of justifies itself that way. But people are also already finding out some tech with it. Like they were saying that the performance attack that you do, so the right trigger, that gives you invincibility frames as well, which I haven't tested it, but people are like, this gives you invincibility frames. And I was like, that's crazy.
This game is giving counters and iframes to every weapon in some way, it seems. I think the endgame monsters are going to wreck house in this game. I know that it's not supposed to be a hard game because it's portable, but I think these monsters are going to be fast. Yeah,
they're going to be fast and they're going to be very punishing, I feel like. And the other thing about it is that they also gave it a rocksteady move. So a move with hyper armor. That basically you just charge into the monster and you just smack him around a little bit. I think it also plays a couple of notes while you're doing it.
It plays self-improvement, I think, right?
Oh, when you do it? Okay. And then they added another mechanic because of the fact that the weapon did become a little bit simpler. They added another mechanic on top of everything, which is, there's that little ball that you fill up with the symbol of the hunting horn, which is the more you beat on a monster, that ball eventually fills up. And when that fills up, at the end of the Z, R, and X attack, or your rocksteady attack, you can press ZR again, and it does a little spinning thing that they added in Iceborne, and that gives you another buff. And that buff increases your damage significantly more than the regular buff, but it lasts for like only a couple of seconds.
Yeah, but I can't wait to see like the other horns and the songs they might have. Could you imagine like you're gonna have like an earplug horn, right? And all you got to do is do 2 attacks in a row to get earplugs. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty damn powerful.
But what I kind of like is that I actually people think that it's going to simplify the songs. I actually think that it's going to allow for more diversity because you have some horns, for example, that had attack up L and let's say like earplugs or whatever, right? Because you were able to encore things in the previous games, you always had like the S becomes an L and stuff like that, right? Or S becomes an M, like small becomes medium. Now, if it's only just one song, you can have more variety, actually. You can have one horn with, let's say, attack up M and earplugs S, or one with like attack up S and earplugs L. Like there's now room for variation because there's no encore. So it's half the songs, but they're easier to play and it allows for more variation between each horn, I think.
And I believe you mentioned you had a suspicion that there would be like how on this horn we have the Infernal Song or whatever. You had the suspicion that
I think there might be some different
songs for the special. So
it's my guess. I have no idea though.
Yeah.
But I guess it, yeah.
That will also bring more variety in terms of songs that you have available to you. And ultimately, I just find this style of hunting horn, to me personally, much more fun. But again, like you, I can understand like people that took the time to master the old hunting horn and now they get here and it's like, well, now I just spam buttons and win. I don't know.
That being said, I mean, have you seen, what's his name?
Amadeus?
I'm going to butcher his name. Amadeus, yeah.
From
like
Team
he's
Dark
really
Side?
good with the hunting horn.
He's a
and you
beast,
watch him play and it's like there's still a lot of technical usage possible and like using it correctly, you can achieve amazing results.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, there's still like, you can kind of like play it a little bit unga bunga, which is kind of like what I did.
Yeah.
But, if you're good with it, then you will excel even more and you'll you'll beast through monsters even more. But
I don't think people realize that like go into a world and talk to the stupid little Wyverian ass. I can swear in this podcast, right?
Yeah.
A little Wyverian asshole who's like, your weapon is the 14th weapon that's popular. It's like, go to hell. Like, seriously, every time I use a hunting horn, he tells me how no one else is using it, and that just pisses me off.
A Gunlance was
You're using
number
the
11.
13th most popular weapon.
Gunlance was number 11 like the whole time, I think. Like pretty much the entire time that I played World and Iceborne, Gunlance was always number 11. Although I think Lance was even lower. Lance was like 13 or something like that. I was like, oh man.
So if people didn't want the hunting horn to get redesigned, then they should have been using it.
Yeah, there should have been more people
I'm happy
playing
with it. I like it. I know, right?
I like,
but I like
what they
it.
did with
It's
it.
aggressive.
It's aggressive. It's fun, and it's stylish as hell. Like the animations on it are so incredibly stylish, and there's just like so many shockwaves coming off whenever you do it. Although there is a downside to that, and that is in multiplayer hunts, this weapon is worse than the goddamn dual blades and longsword put together, dude.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
How so?
Oh, because it staggers the crap out of you, dude. Like if you have a hunting horn player next to you,
you're talking about
the shockwaves, like forget about it. You're not getting anything done. Like one of my
Yuna
first
was
hunts,
always using the bow when I was doing the hunting horn, so we didn't have to worry about that.
one of my first multiplayer hunts was actually with Socks, who's the community manager for Capcom UK. And he was using hunting horn and I was using Gunlance, and I couldn't even move. Hell, I carded because I couldn't even move.
You're like, stop dancing.
let me do something. It's like,
he's like, dude, I'm vibing with my capoeira. Leave me alone.
I'm duding right now. I can't hear it's almost, the weapon has become something which was it was like this saying in World of Warcraft for paladins, which is like, I can't hear over the sound of how awesome I am. That's the hunting horn right now.
Final note, I had to say, because what sold Yuna on the hunting horn as one of her possible weapons in her arsenal, besides being easy to use, is she loved the sound on the Basario's hunting horn.
My God, it's amazing. I love, like, that's one of the things that I always said, like, I want a guitar and I want it to have guitar sounds. Like the first one that I heard was the Zenogre one in Monster Hunter World. And Iceborne, I mean, and I loved it the first time. It was like and I was like, oh, it's so good. But the hunting horn itself, can you
guess my favorite hunting horn sound?
Oh, I have no idea. Because it's probably from the older games, right?
Kizit.
What is it?
I don't know if you've ever used it. It sounds like a horror movie, like Twilight Zone. It goes ooh when you play it.
It's so hilarious, dude. It's so good. No, for like me, it would definitely have to be guitars. So I love it. And I love the fact that when you do the Magnificent Trio, which is the ZRX move, it adds a final note because it goes and something like that. It's so good. I loved it.
Javin. That's good.
Very much.
So now we're getting into our two babies. First one being mine and the second one being yours. And I can't wait to get to yours. But Lance and Gunlance. So Lance, I guess, this is going to sound like the most, like I don't love the Lance because Lance is like one of my favorite weapons. It's my first main weapon and probably one of my best weapons. All I really have to say about it is it's solid. I actually don't have anything interesting to say about it. It plays like it did in World and Iceborne. So if you didn't play those games in 5th gen, you're in for a treat, right? Like the Power Guard, like that was a huge game changer for the weapon. So that is really fun. But I played so much of Lance and World and Iceborne that's not new to me. The charge wide slash is great. It does good damage. It's not something you have to do. It's just another move in your arsenal. And the Silkbind attacks are interesting. I mean, they're not crazy like some of the other ones. Like the first one where you tether to the monster, I still haven't wrapped my head around it. I still don't get it. I think maybe something against something like Tigrex, it's going to be really fun because you could charge and you've got your shield out and it's going to feel really good. But for me now, it's like, why, I've got so much mobility on the weapon. Why don't I just charge him and go crazy? Why do I need to use this weird Silkbind attack? And the other one, which is like Enraged Guard, only lasts for like, I don't know, 5 seconds. So like it's almost like a counterattack now. You just use it over and over again and just, you can't maintain it, but you can certainly get a nice damage output, which is nice. But it's not, as big as much utility as I thought it would be. But the weapon is just so solid anyways that it feels good, but I don't have anything really interesting beyond that to say. How about you?
Did you play the land solo or with Yuna?
Solo.
Okay. Because it's like one of the things that I'm curious about is how much aggro do you actually get out of Twin Vine, which is the Silkbind move where you attach yourself to the monster. Because I used it in that hunt where there were 4 other hunters, but like I said, it was so chaotic. I couldn't understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
but I think I might have gotten aggro of the monster for like 2 seconds after I used it. And then the monster just didn't care. Now the thing
actually, now you mentioned I did use it with you, and it didn't. I didn't see any noticeable
aggro
difference.
Right. So like the monster probably aggroes you for like 2 to 5 seconds after you jab him with it. Then after that, he just goes back to doing whatever the hell he feels like. Now, the one thing that I have to say that it's a positive in regards to Twin Vines is how long it lasts. Like that thing lasts like for a good 30 seconds. And it's like, from that point, I think it's good because it gives you a ton of mobility. But like you said yourself, like we already have a lot of mobility with the Lance charge. So it's like,
and you get so many choices for what to do from that charge. You're not just doing a run and poke. You can do tons of stuff from that.
Yeah, you can do a run and poke. You can do a run and jump. You can do a bunch of different things. And it's like, it's weird because in one sense, it's really fun because like you just jump onto the monster. But then when you jump onto the monster, the attack that you do afterwards is so not interesting. I mean, it's an aerial poke.
Yeah.
Like as far as I can tell.
I would have wanted more is just a flat out taunt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would have been more interesting as well. Like to just be able to
go ahead and smack your butt like the cat does, like slap your ass and go like, come here, over here, buddy. Like the cat did in the taunt for the Protect Crawler.
Yeah. I remember.
Your butt. And you get like instant guard. If you get hit during it, it's like instant guard.
Yeah,
sucker.
I think that would be more interesting for sure because I was trying it again today because I've been testing out the Lance. It's probably going to be, it's one of the weapons that I still need to do. So right now I'm playing mostly weapons that I still haven't done videos for. And I was testing out the Lance today and it felt super solid against Mizu. Like I was doing gangbusters because like I've struggled with Mizu.
Is solid.
I've struggled with Mizu with some weapons, but like Lance, I was just like, dude, this feels great. The counter I really liked as well because I did it a bunch of times. But one of the things that you said is like, you feel like the sweep is not super important. I actually think it is. It's your 3rd hit of your combo. So you go poke, poke, charge, sweep, and that deals way more damage than just a regular poke. But it
also takes longer.
Yeah, it takes
just
a little
variation.
bit longer.
It's a nice variation, but it's not.
But it basically can be introduced.
Replace the third poke.
Yeah, it can be introduced anywhere in your poking combo as one of the 3 hits that you do, basically. So from that stance, I feel like it's going to take me a while to get used to that because I did play a bit of Lance throughout World and Iceborne, so I'm super used to like poke, poke, counter, poke, 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 counter, poke, 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 counter, poke, 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 counter, right? And it's like to get out of that mindset and to think, okay, but I can also do this sweep. So it goes, what I was trying to do is poke, sweep, counter.
You'll remember it.
Yeah. But
you'll remember that you have the sweep after you do your 3rd poke. And it's like, it's too late at that point. It's like, oh shit.
Exactly.
The muscle memory needs to be relearned. One thing you might like if you're still testing it is there is one really cool thing about the guard silk bind. Besides the fact that it's cheap, it's only like 1, right?
Yeah, it's 1.
Is that it resets your poke combo. So you could do poke, 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 counter, poke, 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 counter, poke, poke, poke. Like you can do 3 pokes after you do that. And it's the amount of hits you could do is just kind of bizarre. It feels really good.
It's because it works just like the counter in World and Iceborne, which is the other counter that you have. Because like people would always tell me when I was playing World and Iceborne that I was playing Lance wrong because I wasn't dodging. And it's like, I don't need to dodge. I can counter. And it resets the combo too. So like, it's like, oh, but it's better if you dodge. So. And I'm like, well, I'll dodge if I have to reposition. But if I don't, it's like, why? Am I going to dodge to go to a less favorable position and then poke again? Like, I don't understand. But yeah.
I feel really bad. Like, I think the Lance is one of my favorite weapons in the demo. I certainly like how it feels, but I don't have anything interesting to say about it. It's solid. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I think it's great. But I just don't. I don't see anything super new to talk about when it comes to it.
I mean, that's because there isn't anything super new besides the charge sweep and the silk mine stuff. Like it's just stuff that you had in World. Like you said, you got Super Guard.
Yeah.
You have the counter. You still have the more interesting moves that I personally like, which is the jump, the hop forward with the shield, which can end in a shield bash or end in a poke.
Well, that's true. I mean, yeah, and you could do like, sidewards, you could do backwards guard advances, and there's a lot of tech that you can do with the weapon.
Yeah.
But that was in there in Iceborne as well. Like I said, if you didn't play Lance in 5th gen, you're in for a treat. You're gonna be like, wow, like they really finessed
amazing.
it. It's good. Gunlance, tell me all about it.
Okay, so Gunlance, it's a very bittersweet. It's a very
conflicted
bittersweet
expression right there on your face.
It's like I don't know what to say about it because like, look, I love it. I think it's amazing because of the fact that it has a counter. Which initially, when I saw the counter, I was like I care about a goddamn counter on my Gunlance. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite thing about that weapon right now is the fact that it has that counter because it allows me to stay on the offensive. It sharpens my weapon, and you can combo out of the counter. And you have you can do a slam out of the counter, and you can do a Wyvern stake out of the counter, which is the faster version of the Wyvern stake. But that's where things get a little bit mixed up for me, which is. In the trailer, they show you the faster worm stake. So like that's one of the biggest complaints for most gun lancers in World is how long it takes to apply the worm stake because it leaves you vulnerable for like what feels like an eternity. Like I used to make the joke of like, look, dude, I'm going to start my worm stake and I'll go to the bathroom and I'll come back and I'm still finishing the animation. Because like that's how long it feels that it takes for you to put the worm stake in. And they showed us in the trailer the faster worm stake after they did a charged shell. And that's the only times that you get the faster worm stick. It's a charged shell on the counter. But the worm stick can be done naturally through the combos of the Gunlance. Like you've played it, you've seen that there's a natural transition into it whenever you're finishing like your melee combo or whenever you finish a full burst, you can do a stake. That stake is slow. I think it's actually slower than the stake in World. Ooh. Like it's that
now
bad.
Instead of making a coffee, you can make an espresso.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got all the time in the world to do whatever the hell I want while I'm doing the worm stake.
French press coffee.
So it's like that was the first disappointment. The other disappointment is that when they showcased the Gunlance in the first gameplay video, the Gunlance had 4 shells, and so it got a lot of people thinking maybe they unified shelling. And I was like, oh my god, unified shelling would be amazing, so that you would have like the entirety of the moveset of the Gunlance, because like if you're doing long shelling, all you're doing is shelling. You're not doing anything else. Like you're just spamming charged shells. That's it. If you're doing wide shelling, your moveset is poke, shell, poke. And if you're doing normal shelling, then your moveset is like, slam, full burst, slam, all of that stuff. So the potential for it being unified was super exciting. And that's not happening because you have 6 shells here. It's normal shelling. And they even reference in the Hunter's notes that wide shelling has like a specific modifier for Wyvern stake where it does stun damage. And I was like, okay.
Here's a question. Wait, you said it has 6 shells, right?
Yes.
Is that normal or was it always 5 for normal?
It was 5 for normal and 6 if you had load up.
So the thing is like none of the armor in this game for the demo has actually any skills that I can tell. They seem to be cosmetic only. So do you think they just added an extra shell for all the types?
I don't know, because long shelling is the same thing. Long shelling was 3 shells, and the one they showed in the showcase had 4 shells. And it was the same Gunlance, which even has people thinking that potentially you may be able to switch types on the Gunlance.
Ah, like a bow gun? Like you can change it?
Like maybe you'll be able to customize it and decide the shelling type that you want for your Gunlance. That would be good. Especially if we don't end up with Gunlances.
But if they did that, how would you have variation outside of element and status? Is there any way to do variations of weapons though?
Well, of course, because then basically you get the Gunlance that you want in the shelling style that you want.
I guess so. I guess if you change style, then maybe it alters the attack or the affinity or something to balance it out.
I don't know how it would work, but like, I mean, if you could change the shelling style, that would actually be a big deal. But more importantly, even to me, would be for you to be able to upgrade your shelling level so that you wouldn't get to the end of your tree and like 80% of the tree is complete trash because they're like 1 shelling level below the rest of the tree, and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? This thing doesn't have any shell damage, and the raw damage doesn't make up for it either, and the elemental damage doesn't make up for it either. It's useless. There's nothing to do with this weapon. And that was my reality.
Like I've got this weird feeling that they keep giving preferential treatment to normal shelling. Would you agree with that? Or no? It's just the Silkbind attack that they have is so good, right? With the jump in the air, reload, and down on the ground, you can do a full burst. Ever since Generations, I've always felt that everything just seems to be shortcuts to get to the full burst, which is really good for normal shelling. Is there anything really special or interesting for like a long or wide shot, or does it work for those as well or not? I don't know.
Actually, you get negative bonuses for doing full burst with wide shelling, at least in World. Like, I think for normal, it was 10% damage bonus. And for wide, it was either 20% damage loss or 10% damage loss for doing a full burst. So they actually decentivize that particular playstyle with wide, and I think that long didn't have any penalties or bonuses.
Yeah, so I'm really curious how that's going to work with the Silkbind attack that puts you way up in the air and you do the slam and the burst. Like, would you even want to touch that if you're doing wide, unless they have something, in store for it?
I mean, it depends. It depends on a lot of things, because like ultimately the slam is a really powerful move, but it's like, if I'm doing slam with wide, then I'm probably focusing more on raw damage than necessarily in shelling. Because like I'm never going to do, unless they change the way it works. Like in World, if I'm doing a full burst with wide, it's just because I'm memeing. Like I'm never doing it to be efficient. Like full burst with wide is just a waste. Is a complete waste.
So the only time, I'll admit, the only time I touched Gunlance in this entire demo is just for maybe 60 seconds. It was when you told me, "Hey, you want to fly?" And you go in the air and you hit the shelling and you sort of like fly into the air, and it's really fun.
Yeah, the aerial
I haven't
shelling.
touched it, so I'm curious. Like Gunlance is like my worst weapon by far, and I don't touch it. The only time I touched it was recently was in Iceborne with the Fatalis Gunlance, because the Slap Lance that you introduced, I really enjoyed it. Is Slap a thing that's in Rise? I haven't touched it. Is it there or is it gone?
I mean, the combo is there, so all you got to do is pick up the Gunlance that does a ton of raw damage, and you're good to go. You can do Slap Lance, and the combo that you do, the Silkbind art that you're talking about, is actually really good for that, because you just do a slam down and you can follow it up with the rest of the combo. You don't have to do full burst if you don't want to.
Oh, so you could do the backhand.
You can do the backhand slap, the wide sweep, whatever it's called, and then you can reload and you can go back into a slam and another wide sweep, and you can just. So the combo is there. There's no reason why you can't do it if you want to.
So is your verdict on Gunlance too early to tell? Is that sort of where you're falling?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. The one thing that disappointed me was obviously the slow worm stake, but on top of it, it was another thing that I was curious about, which is, are shells finally going to scale with anything other than artillery? And they definitely don't scale with attack up, because I tested that with the hunting horn. So neither shells or charged shells or wyvern fire, nothing scales with attack up, just like it never did in all of the other games. So I was like, well, I guess these ones aren't scaling either. So see. But it's like,
but hey, good news is we're getting that awesome third Silkbind attack that they showed off in the third trailer, which we'll talk about after we talk about the demo.
And Blast Dash. So there's just like, there's a lot of stuff that we can't see yet about the Gunlance that I'm super curious to see what's going to happen.
There's potential still.
Yeah, there's potential for it to be really good. Whether or not it's going to be, we'll see.
I'm just a dirty lancer who doesn't really play Gunlance much, so you can imagine how fun it is when I do a tutorial video on Gunlance, how much I have to struggle to play it and wrap my head around it. Because at least the good thing is to do a tutorial, you don't have to be good at a weapon to understand it. So as long as I put in the time, I can explain it, but I can't do it.
This time, all you got to do is like just message me on Discord, and I'll tell you whatever you want to know about it. So it'll be easier.
Okay, now we get into the more technical bad boys, which is the switch axe and the charge blade. And I find it absolutely hilarious that from different ends of the earth, both me and you at the exact same day are getting high on the switch axe.
On the switch axe. Cause like I did a poll in my channel to ask people like what was the next weapon they wanted me to do. And they said charge blade. And I was like, okay, a good follow-up to the charge blade is the switch axe. So yesterday was when I actually started playing, and yesterday is like 2 days ago by the time this podcast goes live. Like, is when I started playing the switch axe in preparation for my video, and I was just like, this weapon's insane, but you first, because I've been just like talking up a storm in the Gunlance.
No, it's the same thing. Yesterday was the first time I touched it. Now, switch axe is actually one of the weapons I've used more than a lot of the other weapons. Like, it was my main weapon in Generations, and I kept going back to it in Generations Ultimate. Switch axe is just one of those things that I really liked. I did not touch it in World and Iceborne. Something about it turned me off. I think it was like, I know that they had the addition of like that gauge that you can build up when you're using the sword mode.
The amp
and then there was just, you know, the clutching and the abuse of the super amped whatever, like jump on the face burst.
You can't watch Team Darkside videos, dude. It's like you can't.
But
do
then
it.
it's like, oh, okay, that's good. It just didn't do it for me, right? Like I like I like using the axe. It's always been my thing. That's how I like the weapon. I like putting, you know, evade distance up on it. I like putting evasion +2 and going crazy. I like the weapon a lot, and I use it a lot in 4U too. So this was like coming home to me, like being able to play the switch axe for the first time in like 3 years, because I really did not touch it at all in World or Iceborne. And man, it felt good. It felt really good. Like the moves are there that I know and love. However, the chop combo you can initiate like immediately from the ground. You don't have to start it with the upward swing of the axe. You just hit A and you can go straight into the wild swing. There's like all the different finishers with that, this is not new to this game. I know like they added a lot of this stuff in Iceborne, but like that crazy finisher with the X button after the wild slash, the morphing that you can do, the amount of evasions out of every attack is just insane. The modes are really good. The switch axe, the sword mode doesn't feel like it. Like the gauge is slow enough that it feels like an extra bonus. It doesn't feel like that's the point of the weapon, is to fill up that slash gauge. I could be wrong, but at least to me yesterday, it seemed like a nice bonus, sort of like the hunting horn, where you fill up that special gauge. But when you do, you can go into axe mode and you get additional hits. You don't have to use the sword mode. Yep. So it's like they're finally giving the sword and the axe like 50-50 power. Like I don't see a power discrepancy between the two. They're both very good, and they're good at different things, which is exactly how it should be. The morphing is smooth as hell, and those arts, oh my God.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like the one art, which is the less flashy one, like it basically makes you have unlimited sword mode as much as you want, right? So if you know you're going to go ham on sword, hit that thing and it freezes, like it recharges your sword and it freezes it for a good while, and you can just go crazy.
It's a fancy reload basically for the switch axe.
Yeah. Because reloading with the switch axe normally is a pain in the ass, like hitting R and like whatever. No one wants to do that. So that's great. And then the other one, oh my gosh.
Dude, the other art.
You could do the entire hunt using nothing but that Silkbind art. You can. I did it.
I killed myself.
I killed Musutane.
I killed myself multiple times with that thing because, like, hey, my hunter's not flinching. I'm probably not losing health, right? Oh wait, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you're taking tons of damage, but you are just like flinging yourself at the monster and doing like 3-4 attacks. If you put the input on the circle pad, you can do either like the final hit to the left or the right, or you can do it straight forward. So there's some choice there. Like,
it's amazing.
The thing is just insane. So to me, like the weapon, for some reason, it felt less complicated than I was afraid it was going to be. It felt easier to use. I don't know. Maybe that's because I have a history of the weapon. So for me, all the morph attacks are like really simple and easy, but that's because I'm used to it. But I really liked it. I don't know. Tell me what you think, because I'm in love. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this going to be my next? Am I going to main this again?
So I was very impressed. Like my history with the switch axe is actually very interesting because, like, before World, like I was playing not GU but Generations, because GU only came to the West after World, right? So the last weapon that I had played before playing World was actually the Switch Axe. I was playing aerial Switch Axe on Generations. So
God,
that's why when I got to World and the beta, I was like, dude, I'm totally going to main Switch Axe. And I'm just like going with the Switch Axe, going ham, doing everything that I could to learn the Switch Axe. And then I fell off of it because the main reason I fell off of it is because it always felt during World that the weapon was always building up towards doing the thing that you called, what did you call it? The amped element.
Was it?
It's called zero sum discharge. It's called zero sum discharge. But you know, it always felt like the weapon was building up to that. And then when you were doing that, you would get punished. Because like you would do that and it takes so long to explode.
Unless you were up against Vitalis.
Yeah, unless you're up against Vitalis. But like throughout but I'm talking specifically about World, not Iceborne, right? But throughout most of World, like most of the monsters would be able to shake you off before you'd be able to finish. And I was like, dude, I hate this weapon because every monster is able to knock me off when I'm doing zero sum discharge. And then you would go and you watch, you know, other people that were more experienced. They would never do zero sum discharge. And I was like, this weapon just builds up to this big explosion and I can't do the big explosion. This thing sucks. I hate it. So I stopped using it. But coming into Rise, I started playing it and I was just like, my first thing is the fact that amped state carries over into Axe is like a big deal. Because basically you can do whatever you want. Like you said, you can do sword or you can do Axe. Whereas in World, if you were doing Axe, it's because you were waiting for your gauge to fill up to go back to sword. Like that's pretty much.
It was like, yeah, even the older games had that issue. It was like everything was pushing you towards sword mode, everything.
In Iceborne, it was different because in Iceborne, because of that finisher of Wild Swings that you pointed out, that gave you like additional flinch and stuff. So if you wanted to lock down a monster, there was a reason for you to play Axe. But in this one, you can lock it down, you can use your files, you can do all of this. And then if you want to deal more damage, you can swap the sword, deal a little bit more damage. So you can pick and choose whatever you feel like doing. Now, one of the things that I did notice is the amped gauge takes forever to charge. Like compared to World, like World would be like 2 combos in sword, boom, full charge. And this one, like against Mizu, like I had like maybe 2 or 3 full charges the whole fight. Like it was insane. Like I was really surprised.
I could be wrong. I haven't tested it, but the fastest I got to charge was after you do the Wild Axe finisher, your gauge kind of glows a little bit, and it could be placebo, I could be wrong, but it feels like the gauge goes up faster afterwards. And then if you just do the normal elemental discharge, like on the ground, all the hits seem to build it up quite a bit. So I'm almost wondering if you're supposed to use elemental discharge as a way to build up your slash.
Discharge builds it up?
Oh. Yeah, just a regular elemental discharge built up the slash gauge quite a bit, actually.
I didn't pay too much attention to that. But
yeah, I'm going to test that later on today, but that's like my initial feelings were, like you said, it's just, what you want, vanilla, you want chocolate, have them both. Like,
yeah. And
but the Switch, like, how do you feel about that? Like the gauge taking a while, because it does take a while to charge up. I like that.
I mean, I think it's interesting because I used to like the idea of using focus, but I could never justify it because I would speed it up, but it would be very little. Right. So now maybe focus is actually like something that you might want to bring if you want to get that charge faster.
That's such a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And then it's like, okay, so which one do you want to bring? Do you want to bring focus to build it up faster, or do you want to bring power prolonger to make it last longer?
Prolonger, right?
And it's like, it also depends on like, what's the skill system going to be? Are we going to be able to have like 6 or 7 skills like in World?
Or just
we're going to have like 3 or 4 like in the older games. So then it kind of becomes more of a choice, right? So there's a lot of the Switch Axe, right?
Like, you can do anything you want with the Switch Axe. You can walk in there with no skills. There's no actual skill that you need. It's just tailoring it to your playstyle, right?
Exactly. And then it's like, there's that, and then there's obviously that move that we were talking about. And it's like, a lot of weapons have like a rock steady type move, right? With hyper armor. But the reason the Switch Axe one feels so good is because of the reach of the weapon. Because like he fully extends the weapon when he's doing that attack.
Oh, yeah.
So like you can literally start the attack, hit the monster in the head, and then finish by hitting him in the tail. And I was like,
tail, yeah.
This is amazing. Like that's,
yeah.
And how easy it is to pull it off, because like a lot of the times, like, you know, Mizutsune's super fast circling around you and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I have an idea. Okay, so you're like behind me to the right. Okay, here I go. Whee! Like, throw the wire bug. Here we go. It was like always.
And
like,
it recharges fast. It's only one bug.
Yeah, it was super fast.
Only, so like for me, the switch axe is the reason to always pick up the third wire bug.
Oh yeah.
Because at any moment's notice, whether it's evasion or just to go bung-ho, you can just hit the X and you're just like, whoa, here I go.
Here we go, yeah.
And Yuno was playing with me and she's like, what are you doing? She's like, your hunter just keeps flinging himself at the monster. Like, what move is that? I'm like, that's a silk bind attack.
Yeah.
She's like, that's cheating. I was like, well, it's not cheating because as I told her, it's like, I can do it straight into a fireball and I get hit. I take the damage. She's like, yeah, it's still cheating.
But it feels so good because, you know, traditionally the switch axe is a weapon that did have some issues with mobility, like you yourself, where you were saying, like you'd put evade extender on it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and I myself, I remember when I started again, like at Endgame and World, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a switch axe set. The first thing that I noticed is like, I can't play this weapon without evade extender. Like I can't do it. Like it's too hard to dodge anything because the dodge on this thing is super short. And then if you're in sword mode, you have like that cumbersome where your character just like stops. Like most rolls, they just kind of like flow. The switch axe roll just kind of like stops in place all of a sudden, and it's weird. So the fact that they gave you that big mobility skill does so much for the weapon, on top of the fact that you still get files on axe. Like out of all of the weapons that I've played so far, and again, there's still quite a few that I have to play, it's one of the most impressive ones in terms of like keeping it similar to what it was in Monster Hunter World while adding just a couple of things here and there that makes such a massive difference. Like here's another very small thing that you probably didn't notice. You know the morph switch from Wild Swings? That gives you access to one of the hardest hitting attacks of, at least it did back in World. I'm assuming it's the same thing for this one. Gives you access to one of the hardest hitting attacks in the switch axe, which is the one where he just kind of like throws himself forward and hits with the axe kind of like sideways slightly. So that attack is one of the hardest hitting attacks in the switch axe. That attack used to instantly morph you. Now it doesn't. So like if you just press the right trigger once, it does the attack, but it stays in axe mode. You can still morph. You press right.
Wait. So you do wild axe. You press X to do, or X
not
to do
X
the finisher, right?
Not X.
No.
You finish with
you
the
press
trigger
R to do the morph, right?
To do the morph. And
the spin move, right? The sideways chop.
Exactly. The sideways chop. That was one of the hardest hitting attacks that you could do with the switch axe. And it would instantly swap you into sword afterwards. Now it doesn't. Now it stays in axe mode. So you can keep staying in axe mode and have access to that really hard hitting move without swapping the sword. You can still swap the sword if you want. You just press the trigger twice and it does the thing and then swaps. So it's like just them splitting up that move. I'm like, it feels great. Just this little tiny detail that this move is now split in two is amazing.
Yeah, I think that goes with what I was saying, like the morphine feeling good. Everything feels very intentional. Like the weapon is not just doing crap and you're like, whoa, what's going on? Like it's so intentional. And like, it doesn't matter what move you're in, you can morph. It's just like, okay, shing. Like whoever's did the animation blending on those scenes, like give them a raise. Like the programmers are just geniuses. Okay, so obviously we're in love with the weapon so far. So tell me about the Charge Blade.
Okay, so
I've not had much time with it, so
I never like playing Charge Blade in demos. I just don't like. There's nothing against the weapon. I love the Charge Blade. Like it was my most played weapon in Monster Hunter World. I love the Charge Blade. I think it's a fantastic weapon. I don't like playing it in demos because once you get used to playing Charge Blade with focus, playing Charge Blade without focus feels incredibly sluggish. Throws off all of your timings.
That's great. I've never played it with focus ever.
Yeah, like so in Worlds, I would always play Charge Blade with 3 focus every single time because You get the charge, the double charge slash comes out faster. Your files fill up faster.
It comes out faster.
Yes, you can release the double charge slash. It's like a couple of milliseconds, but it is faster.
Interesting.
I guarantee.
I didn't think about that.
And like most people always tell me, you don't need focus on Charge Blade. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't play Charge Blade without focus. Like it just feels terrible. Like it feels like everything is out of whack. Like I remember the first time I noticed this was because, again, it was my most played weapon in World, and I played Charge Blade in the Iceborne beta, and I sucked. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't kill any, like every move the monster would do would get me like instantly. And then I was like, it's because I don't have focus. Like this is insane. It makes a massive difference to me. So it doesn't have focus and it doesn't have magazine. So your shield doesn't stay charged as long because you don't have the additional file to keep the shield charged longer. It throws off the whole thing. And this is a weapon that to me is all about the timings. The timing of the charge slash, the timing it takes you to fill up your files, the timing that your shield lasts charged so that you can keep punishing and you can keep attacking on the offensive. And because not having those skills throws everything out of whack for me, I end up not liking to play the weapon on demos. But there's not a whole lot to say about the Charge Blade because it's literally the same moveset that you have in World, with the exception that you don't have Savage Axe Slash. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to be in the game. It means it's not in the demo because like we talked about, there's different moves and whatnot. But it's like
I like the Silkbind attacks though that they gave it. I like both of them quite a bit.
I love the counter. I can't get the other one to work for me.
Still not feeling the morph?
I'm not feeling it's not because I don't see the utility, because now I see the utility of it. I understand why it's there, and it's got like hyper armor as well. So that move also has hyper armor, so it allows you to reposition. It's got good moves that you can do with it because you can swap the sword, you can swap to an axe attack. It puts you right into the best axe attack of all, and you can even combo it straight into a super amped elemental discharge if you want to. But the thing to me is, it's awkward as hell to use. I can never land it. Like I'll morph it and I can't land it. And it's like, I can land a lot of attacks. Like I can land what's it called? The Foresight Slash. I can land the one from the SNS. I can land the Switch Axe. I can land all of these attacks. I can't land that Charge Blade attack to save my life.
Watch it's going to be the same thing. Someone is going to comment and say, there's iframes on it.
Yeah, I know. I just said it.
Who knows?
It's not iframes. It's hyper armor. Actually, it's not iframes. Hyper armor.
Hyper armor. Okay, so you get hit, but you just don't get knocked out.
Yeah. It's the same thing as the Switch Axe one. So which is weird because like I love the Switch Axe one, but I can't stand the one on the Charge Blade. I can't get it to work for me. Like I've done it. It's not because I haven't tried it, because like I've done the move a million times. It just always seems like it ends up in a weird way, and I can't punish the monster. Like I'll dodge right into the monster, and then I'll end up like slightly off to the side, and I can't hit it. Or I'll dodge and I'll end up too far away, or I'll overshoot the monster. I don't know. There's something about that move that I really struggle with it, so I end up not using it as much. The counter, on the other hand, I friggin' love that counter. That counter is brutal.
Instant files.
Because it's instant files, and you can also get, you can charge your sword out of it. Because if you press
you can do
X,
a bunch of stuff out of it. Yeah.
If you press X, you charge your sword. I think if you press A, you might go into like the double attack from the axe. If you press X and A, you go into super amp. So it's like, it's a great counter. It's a fantastic counter. I love it.
Yes, I think Charge Blade to me has always been like the recent longsword. It can do a little bit of everything, a little too good. So I think those who are really good with it, they're going to be really happy. Like the weapon maintains all of its utility. The counter is huge. Beyond that, though, I agree. I don't have anything really interesting to add to it, except for it's the Charge Blade as you know and you love it, I guess. I had a problem getting into the weapon ever since they started adding in so many different things. Like, I really liked it in Monster Hunter 4. My problem is that like you've got weapons that all build you up to one thing, right? Like for me, the longsword seems to be pushing you towards doing the helm splitter, right?
Yeah.
At least recently.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not into like a weapon always pushing you to do one big thing because maybe I don't want to do that one thing. But at least the longsword has it's just one and there's other things you can do as well. But this one is like, there's so many things on the checklist. It reminds me of like, if you ever play Magic the Gathering?
Yes.
It's like, it's like building. It's like the deck type that takes 10 freaking minutes to do a turn because you're building up all your combos. It's like, okay, I'm charging up my files, I'm charging up my axe, I'm charging up my sword. Now I can do my finisher. And this is like, it's too much for me. It's just like, I get why we need that type of weapon. I think if it's great in the paradigm. It's just, I think maybe it's my age because I'm turning 40 this month, but I'm gravitating more towards simple weapons lately. Like I like the simplicity of hammer and dual blades and switch axe, where it's just like, here's a bunch of utility, however you want to use it, go for it. Where the charge blade has a very specific way it wants you to focus on, right? It's like, this is going to cream monsters in the ground, so please do this.
It depends. There's a lot of nuance to it, particularly in World. Like in Rise, I still don't have like enough data to really form an opinion on it, because like I used to think back in World, and I played most of World thinking like this, that the charge blade was all about the super amped elemental discharge. So I would do that thing that you're talking about. It's like, I'm gonna charge my files, then I'm gonna charge my shield, then I'm gonna load my shield with more files and charge my sword. And now here it comes, the big super amped. And it's like, it turns out if you watch an actually really good player with charge blade, most of the time they cancel out of the charge blade, out of the super amped elemental discharge into a regular amped elemental discharge. So that
which is how you used to play in 4, which was nice.
So instead of using all of the files at once, you use them one at a time on a monster's head to get KO and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's not as satisfying to me using that play style, but I can definitely see that it's way more effective and it's way better. But, in World, you also had Savage Axe, so,
Yeah, I know you're missing that. I've actually never tried it, so I'm not missing it because I don't know what it is. I know what it is, it's just I never used it. So here's a weird question, which I think we could both agree that the two most complex weapons when it comes to the execution is probably Charge Blade and Sword and Shield, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, or?
It's like, I don't think the Charge Blade is, here's the thing. Yes, it is mechanically complex. It's just I have so much muscle memory with it that it is like I know how to get everything done. It's not really a big problem.
Guard points are like do them in your sleep.
No, I don't do guard points in my sleep, but like I know how they function, right? So it's like I know how to do a guard point. I know when the guard points happen. So it's like, yeah.
So I think Charge Blade users are going to be really happy. I think it's solid. It's just it just depends on, is it your weapon or not, I guess, right?
I think that the biggest thing that a lot of people are going to talk about is going to be the lack of Savage Axe. Because Savage Axe is such a big deal. Like I myself notice it because like I find myself going into Super Amped with the intention of canceling into Savage Axe and then reminding myself, wait, there is no Savage Axe.
Here's a question, because I don't have any background on this, but why do you think if they removed it, maybe they didn't remove it.
Yeah, they probably
maybe they did. But let's assume that they did. Is there a specific reason? Do you think was it too powerful? Did it change the dynamic of the weapon too much? Like what do you think might be a reason why it's not, at least in the demo?
I think it's because they want people to focus on the Silk Mine moves more than, and it's like, considering that this is a weapon that's already complex enough that if you add Savage Axe Slash on top of it, like let's say someone skips World and they come from GU or from Generations into Rise, and first they have to learn, wait, I can charge my sword now? And then it's like, oh, and there's this super amped elemental discharge thing that like makes lightning come out of the end of the weapon. And then it's like all of a sudden, what's this Savage? What? I can cancel it with another thing, and now my shield spins? What?
Everything can be canceled.
Or maybe instead of doing Savage Axe, they might be bringing up, because like we know that they haven't brought all the Silkbind arts yet. They might be bringing up that old Silkbind art where you actually slash away with your shield. Remember the saw art that you had?
Chainsaw?
Yeah, the chainsaw
I
thing.
Want that. Oh,
maybe they're bringing that instead of Savage Axe, and maybe adding Savage Axe in the middle of that would murk the waters. Like I think what most people would want out of it is probably the old Energy Blade. You remember the Energy Blade?
Oh yeah, Jedi lightsaber.
with
That was a fun one.
Like I have a friend of mine.
You know, you mentioned it, I'm excited to see what else they have in store.
Exactly.
So by the tech wise.
Because like I have a friend of mine that's like he loves the friggin' energy thing. Like he would always get tail chops with that thing. It was insane. Like we'd be hunting in GU and he would just be like, guys, I'm gonna go cut the tail, and we'd be like, yeah, sure. He goes in there, and out comes the tail. And we're like, crap. The first
How many files did you have? 8. It's like 10 files.
It's like, doesn't matter. Tails off. It would surprise me the first time that he said it. It's like, I'm just going to go chop the tail real quick. And I'd be like, yeah, sure. Because we had barely touched it. And he just goes in there. Zong, out comes the tail. I was like, what? What is that?
That's a tail.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. Overall,
well, now we're moving on to... oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, overall, I think that if you're into Charge Blade, there's no reason to think that it's not going to get better. It's just, do keep in mind that you're not going to have the skills that you probably want during the demo, and it's not going to feel as good as you want. So
yeah. Now we move on to the most controversial weapon outside of Hunting Horn, the Insect Glaive.
Okay.
You know what? Y'all can hate on me, but I'm happy with it. Like, okay, like first off, and I mentioned this last podcast, the Kinsects suck so bad in the demos. They always do. It moves like goddamn molasses. It's so slow. Luckily, I use a weapon a lot. It's one of my mains, so I have no problem getting in close and getting the extracts. But I imagine anybody new to the weapon picking it up is going to say, "This is shit." They're not going to be happy with the speed of the bug. But that's just something to keep in mind. That's a demo thing. I really like it. They brought back earplugs. If you grab the white and the orange, you get earplugs. Mizutsune started screaming in my face, and I wasn't flinching, and I said, wait, what? I got earplugs.
You had a slightly different version of
like
that.
Medium earplugs.
in Iceborne, where if you put in 3 brace, which you could put brace all the way up to level 3 in world, and you had all of your extracts, you would also have full earplugs in Iceborne.
Interesting. Okay. I did not know that. That's interesting. But yeah, so having that back is huge. Like that makes me excited. The triple up is nice. It lasts for a good enough time. Of course, if they bring back Power Prolonger, that is such a fun skill. The fact that they removed green extract from monsters, I think, is a huge benefit. Because face it, it was like an herb. Like the amount of heals that you were getting from a green extract was crap. You would never call back the Kinsect and then try. You would like immediately send it back out. You'd be like, no, I don't want green. It's like it almost reminds me of like if you got like you spin a wheel and you got like the miss and you got a win. It's like you hit the wrong one. And that's the green. It's like, try again. You lose. You got the bad thing on the raffle.
There was actually one time where I used green extract. There was a crossover quest in World with where you got like the Ryu layered outfit, I think. And you had to go into the arena, and I don't think they gave you any potions. So I was like, well, I'll just play Insect Glaive and heal myself with the green extract. That was the one time that I used the green extract. Yeah.
So they removed that. That's great. Then you've got your bread and butter combos, which is great. And, it does good stuff. I didn't know it right away, but the ability to scale mountains in the terrain with the Kinsect Glaive without having to use Kinsects, I imagine you know about this.
Yes, it was in World. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know it was in World. And everyone's like, you just hated World, and that's why you didn't know it. I'm like, why would you ever scale the environment in World? Barely ever did that.
Here's the thing. I don't think it works exactly the same. Like I saw the video that you made, and I was like, well, I did that in World. The difference is in World, I think it only worked in like vines. It's like, climbable surfaces, you could do that. I don't think you could do that outside of climbable surfaces, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. And now, since everything is climbable, it's a really nice benefit for the weapon. Like, I can chase Mizutsune across the mountain without even putting my weapon away. I'm just like, shoom, 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 and I'm over there. I like that a lot.
Does it reset people are like,
yeah, but that's not going to help.
Does it reset your jumps? I don't remember.
Oh, I didn't even think about using it in the terms of combat. I don't know. I would imagine so, yeah. Because you're able to do the air evade from it. So yeah, it does reset it, yeah. So if you do that and then you do the Silkbind, which flings you on again, you can just pretty much fly up the map as if it's like debug mode. It looks absolutely bonkers. If you watch someone who's really good at it, it looks like they're literally just debug jumping across the entire map. It's wild. So the mobility is nice. It's not going to help you win hunts any faster, of course, but is a nice little side effect.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, not everything in a weapon has to be about, super efficiency. There are some things in weapons that are just fun. And I think
what
that's
I want to know
detail.
though is the Kinsect. I think they may have made a mistake in that if you read the descriptions in the Hunter notes, it says that a Kinsect has two things it might do. If you mark a monster, it may automatically go and just start attacking it and doing damage, which is like, ooh, that'd be nice.
That was in
Or
World.
it'll leave dust. But the thing in this demo doesn't do either.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
It does nothing.
It's a dumb Kinsect. He's not smart.
Like, can you please bring a Kinsect that at least shows off the weapon? Like, that's a horrible way to demo it.
Yeah,
the Kinsect itself is pretty dumb.
I think they did a bad job of demoing the potential of the weapon just overall, both in the video and even in the demo. Because like the Kinsect, it's an atrocious Kinsect. Okay, let's just
it's so bad. No one's gonna be using that ever.
That Kinsect is so bad. Like it sometimes would run out of stamina before it got to the goddamn monster, and I was like, dude, please. Let me at least hit the monster twice to get one of the buffs that I want before you run out of stamina, you useless turd. It's a turd with wings, that goddamn thing.
The Silkbind attacks, though, I gotta say, like, people were suspicious about them. We talked about them, and I love them. I just as much as I thought I would. Like the vault is great. It gives me more hits. It gives me the aerial vault from Generations, and it gives me lots of mobility. Which, again, I know does not kill a monster any faster, as everybody likes to keep reminding me. And the evade is great because it actually promotes the ground combo, which everyone is like talking about. Like, yeah, the ground combos are the most powerful, of course. Well, now when you're sitting there pounding in the face of the monster, when you pound them in and it's like, okay, they're about to hit me, you just hit the retreat, you get a free green heal, you get your Kinsect back, and you get iframes out of there. It's like, it's promoting aggressive ground play, and you can press the A button right afterwards and go straight back at them with an aerial hit. It's crazy.
I hate the recall Kinsect skill, but I was playing it. I was playing it today on stream and I was testing it. I hate that skill. It's so inconsistent as to whether or not you get your heal. It almost feels like you're spinning a wheel.
You have to be very close.
It's
you
like
have to be very, very close.
It's not even just being close. There's been times where I've been sitting on top of the Kinsect and I don't get healed. And I'm just like, and it's so frustrating because like, I get it. Okay, you get invincibility frames, you get out of the way. But it's like a lot of the times you can also just like vault upwards and you get out of the way. So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a gain.
It's not a game changer, no.
Yeah, but I think that the other thing that I wanted to get out of it is at least heal me, at least do something. But then it's like your Kinsect has to be out, and that Kinsect doesn't have any goddamn stamina. So it's like, okay, so before I dodge, I have to shoot out my Kinsect. And then people were saying he needs to have an extract, and I'm like, are you sure? Because like if I get him with an extract and then I jump away and nothing happens, and then I get him without an extract and I jump away and nothing happens.
I think it's just the Kinsect that's screwing it up.
If I could,
I think it's just the Kinsect.
With what we're seeing in this demo, I would pick up that skill and I'd throw it in the trash where it belongs.
Wow.
Like, just be like, get that. And it probably out of all of the skills that I used in all of the weapons, that is the only skill that I'd be like, dude, put that skill in the trash. Like, I
gotta stop and say this. This is what I love about Monster Hunter is that two people can have such a vastly different opinion about something. What is trash to one person is a treasure to another. I love it.
Like I on like the recall Kinsect skill, I couldn't stand it. The other one though, the vault, I completely came around on it because like I remember initially when I saw the showcase, I remember seeing the vault and I'm like, I can already vault. I can jump. Like that's the whole point of the insect.
But can you vault like this?
Yeah,
it is literally aerial style for from Generations.
And the thing about it is, like, I find myself sometimes even using it from the ground because of the angle that it throws you at. And you can just like,
it's super consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. It throws you at a good angle. And on top of it, you can just press X instantly and you just start spinning towards the monster. And that is very good. So like the vault, I completely came around on it 100%. Recall Kinsect went the exact opposite direction. Like I was seeing, maybe, getting a heal, like that'll be okay. But I don't know, maybe they need to swap out the Kinsect.
Day one, you're going to be swapping that out for the pogo stick, aren't you?
They needed, oh yeah, 100%, like 100%. If I was playing that, like that skill out the window, like they want, not even touching it. Because here's the thing, like maybe they should have put a different Kinsect. Maybe they should have done something, but like, that skill just felt like the most inconsistent thing in the whole game for me, which is like, because like what I want out of skills is consistency. And if the skill says that it's going to heal me, I want it to heal me.
It should heal me. Yeah.
I don't want to be like,
it does miss way too much.
I don't want to be like thinking to myself, oh no, I have to throw out my Kinsect and then maybe like jump through a couple of hoops and then hit the button and then eventually the skill works. No, I want to hit the button. I want to see the skill work, and Recall Kinsect just doesn't work. So yeah, I think that's pretty bad.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But like overall, the Insect Glaive itself, it felt solid. It felt super solid, particularly with the vault. Like the vault, I love it. Like I was using the vault all the friggin' time. Like because I always liked aerial Insect Glaive. And I know it's not the most efficient way of playing, yada, yada, yada.
But it's fun.
But it's fun as hell because you're basically just like jumping in the air. And you can see that they did a lot to like counter that particular playstyle because like it was super safe in world, but it just like be in the air. And now the monsters just like, their hitboxes are insane. Like particularly Mizu. Mizu almost seems he just like has infinite Z axis. He just like hits you no matter where you are. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I would say.
Particularly playing Aerial Insect Glaive, I've also noticed that like Rathian, like she would be doing her landing thing and she would hit me with her wings. And I'm just like, what? I don't get that. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. I hope that they tweak the hitboxes a little bit because like we're reaching Plesioth levels right now and I don't want to reach Plesioth levels.
So I got a really weird question, and this might be situational and it might be my controller, but specifically with the Insect Glaive, there's been times where I swear I'm feeling input lag.
I felt input lag.
For example, I'm in the air and I hit the A button to do the spinning attack and it feels like it's half a second off. I don't know if it's the Switch because the Switch does have that issue every now and then, especially if you're not doing it wired. I don't know.
I felt input lag on a lot of weapons. So now I'm beginning to think maybe it's not me. Maybe there's actually something with the game. So like, for instance, with the Gunlance, the slam combo is X plus A. A lot of times instead of slamming, I'll shell. Shell is just A.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't you, it was someone else I was talking to, but I didn't even know you back then, but Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, when it came to the Switch, it was the very first thing that we started noticing was like, there feels like there's more input lag compared to the 3DS. This feels off. Eventually, we got used to it, and I think there's, it's like frames per second. Like your inputs start to work around it, and you can do it. But at first, it feels like, wait a second, I know I hit the button. Why didn't it register?
Yeah, like
I guess maybe because Kinsect, as I used it first, the Insect Glaive, like I noticed it more.
Another thing that was happening to me today, for instance, was I was playing bow. And you know how in order to do the arc shot, you hold the right trigger and press A. Well, I wasn't holding the right trigger. And a lot of times when I was going from the regular shot into power shot, it would do an arc shot. I'm like, I know I wasn't pressing the trigger. Like, I know for a fact I wasn't pressing the everybody in chat calling me, noob, can't even do power shot. And I was like, I'm not, like, look at I'm not pressing it.
So one thing I would tell you to try if you're not doing it already, this helped a lot in Generations Ultimate, was the Switch Pro Controller seems to have more input lag when you use it wireless versus wired. So what I've been doing is playing it wired, and it does feel better.
I
don't like that wired. I have to do that, and that feels like a problem of the Switch, not of the game.
Like I swear, dude. Like on a bit of a side note here, I've been so disappointed with my Switch Pro controller. Like I love the Switch console, and I've worked around the the drift. I suffered from Joy-Con drift. I fixed it myself. I bought like analog sticks from China and I replaced it. It's fine. It's working great. Like my Joy-Cons are working flawless, but I bought the Pro Controller when they came out with Smash. And I had the worst Pro Controller experience possible. Like my D-pad never works right. Like I'll press down and it goes left. I'll press left, it goes down and up. Like, and I've tore it apart. I've cleaned it up all nice and I put it back together. Like my D-pad has never worked properly. My my analog sticks have had drift as well. I've had to tear it apart to clean the like little bits of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Because that causes drift. My right shoulder button, I have to like damn near smash it to get it to work. Even though again, it's clean. There's no gunk. There's nothing in there. This is a pristine controller. Like I've had tons of problems with the Pro Controller. So it's been very disappointing.
Nintendo is dropping the ball with their controllers.
But it's like
I like the battery and how it holds it. I like the feel of the controller. But yeah, you can't ignore that a lot of people are having technical issues with these things.
But it's like it's weird because I have two friends. They have Pro Controllers, no problems. They love it. They think it's better than the DualShock 4. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like I've tore apart my Switch Pro Controller more than any other controller that I've ever owned, which is weird.
Yeah, I have four Switch Pro controllers. Don't ask me why. One of them acts up and has drift, and I think I just need to chuck it at this point because I think I've sprayed it the insides enough that I think it's probably just worn itself down. One of them seems a little weird, and the other two work really well. So
yeah, it's weird. There's like definitely some quality variation there. It feels like, which it really shouldn't, because like this thing costs a premium. This thing is like 80 euros. Yeah, it's almost twice expensive. The amount of a DualShock 4. And it's like, I don't want to buy like a bootleg one or a crap. Like I want to buy the official one, but damn, dude. Like I've felt really bad about it. Yeah. But like the Joy-Cons work fine with the exception of like when I had drift, but I fixed that and that was never a problem again. But anyway, I kind of got sidetracked there.
So yeah, anti-glaive, people are split on it. And, I think we'll have to wait for the downward thrust move.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like it's going to be very powerful. And I think if it's powerful enough, I think people would be very happy. Because I think what I'm starting to realize is people, more than utility, people want at least one really good attack from a silk bind. Yeah. And I think that's what it's lacking, and that's what is leaving a sour taste in people's mouth.
I think that's also a little bit of a consequence of like, World made Monster Hunter a lot more mainstream. So like people want the big impactful moves. Like I even remember when I was really enjoying Sword and Shield, people would say they didn't want to see me play Sword and Shield. And I'm like, well, why? They're like, well, it's not very interesting. And it's like, okay, so you want to see me play what? Charge Blade? And like, yeah, Charge Blade, yeah. Super Elemental Discharge, yeah. So it's like
Breaker.
In a way, it's like a consequence of Monster Hunter going more mainstream. People tend to appreciate less some of the more nuanced weapons like Sword and Shield, particularly Lance. Like Lance is one of my favorite weapons. And I can't play it because, like, if I ever do a stream where I'm playing Lance, people they don't want to watch it. They think it's boring, and I'm just like, dude. And I mean, Iceborne's a little bit different because it had that anime counter that you did.
Yeah.
Which like that was amazing, right? But like before that, people like nobody wanted to see me play Lance, and I was like, dude, I love Lance so much. I wanted to main it in Iceborne. I loved it so much.
So this is funny. We've been going for over almost 2.5 hours, and we still have 3 more to go, and we haven't even talked about the trailer yet, which is just insane. So let's go on to the gunner weapons, which I'm going to say right now, I am so happy that we have confirmation that gunner and blade master, the same armor can be used for both.
Oh, yes. Thank God.
Like, people took that for granted that was going to be a thing. It was not guaranteed. Like, that was one of the best changes, I think, in World and Iceborne, and bless the team for having the courage to do that because, face it, most people did not try gunner because they didn't want to make the same darn sets again.
Oh, yeah, I definitely.
And so it closed the door for so many people. So whatever, we lose out on a second design. Yes, we lose out on some more customization of the actual armor skills. But you know what? The benefit of that is worth it.
But it's like in World, we had the alpha and beta sets, which were essentially 2 different designs of the same armor. So it's like you don't necessarily have to.
There's ways to combat, So like gunner, I guess we'll start with bow, everyone's favorite melee weapon, which finally, at least to me, and I suck at the bow, and everyone They thought I was joking when they saw my previews. I said in there like twice, I suck at the bow, so just, cringe alert. And people were like commenting saying, "Yeah, you were just being humble." That I watched you play, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what is he aiming at?"
Yeah, I'm not particularly great with the bow either.
The thing is, I was good at the bow in Generation, so I don't know what happened to me, but I just I can charge my rapid shot, and that's about it. You start giving me like charge steps and giving me like these charge shots and power volleys and stuff, and I start whiffing like crazy. So Yuna's favorite weapon of all the ones that she's tried is the bow. She's totally hooked on it, despite the fact that everyone seems to think it's the worst demonstration of a weapon in the demo, which I do not agree with. But the bow itself, like the capabilities, is kind of shit. The one from the demo, because again, it's not an actual bow from the game. They're just giving you like a generic, like, here's some bins or whatever. But like, I like it. I think the bow handles fine. I like that arc shots are not flinching the hell out of us, which is even better because, like you were saying, online with 8 different objects attacking the monster. Can you imagine adding in arc shots on top of that?
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love that. I can't wait to get flinched more.
So I like the fact that there's a buff. I can't wait to see how that works across different bows. Like maybe there's going to be a bow that buffs everyone's attack.
There's definitely
one that buffs everybody's.
They showed that in the trailers. They showed it because, like, if you look at the trailer, there's one with the red. I can't speak. Red dust.
Can you imagine if it's different depending on your charge level? Like if you charge to a level 2, it gives you 1, and then if you charge to a level 3, it gives you a different one. That would be cool.
That would be great. If that's the case, the problem is that I think that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be upset because, like, bow in World was basically very much a damage-oriented weapon. And if you go that route... Yeah, it's
melee, like, just go crazy.
Yeah, if you go that route, then you're making it more supporty, and, there's no such thing as, like, a support weapon and all that. But, if your bow shots are basically like, hey, if I charge it once, it gives everybody an attack up. If I charge it twice, it gives defense up. And if I charge it 3 times, it gives everybody health. It's like, well, I don't know about that. Cool. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are not going to like it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, so like I never used quick shot, and I know people use that to just abuse the hell out of the weapon. So that being gone, it doesn't bother me. It does bother me that we don't have focus on the bow, because that's a skill that you really need on the bow. And it's not there in the demo.
Yeah. Because it takes longer to charge.
The fast charging, that hurts. I imagine there's going to be like level 2 power and level 1 power and stuff like that, but we don't have that in the demo as well.
Actually, I don't know if
I don't know.
Does focus affect how fast you charge if you're spamming shots?
Is there a reason to spam shots with the bow?
Yeah, they charge. So it's like you shoot twice, you're on level 2. You shoot 3 times, you're on level 3, and then you go to power shots. That's at least that's how it worked in World, and it seems.
Now you know why I suck at the bow. I'm so used to just you charge to level 3, you walk around, you wait for a right point, you aim for the head, and you hit it. And if you have an opportunity, you do a power. That's how I played the bow back in the day.
They changed bow in World, and this one kind of like is the same. So the way that you charge it, you just spam shots. You spam shots, and they charge up, and they deal more damage.
Boo. I'm like that Clint Eastwood, like, young people.
and that's also like how it works with the dodges. So like if you shoot once and dodge, it skips a level to the next one. No, it doesn't skip. It maintains. I'm not sure if it levels up or if it maintains. If you dodge twice, it definitely levels up. So you can level up by shooting. You can level up by dodging. But, very few people. The only reason as far as I'm aware, the only reason to actually charge your shot is if you're trying to inflict a status ailment. Like if you're trying to do sleep or blast or poison or whatever, then I think you're supposed to charge up the shot slowly. But other than that, you just you spam it.
Well, never mind then. The one thing I really wanted them to bring back was the move that I really liked in Generations, which is if you do a back hop twice, in one of the styles, you do like this little back flippy thing that would charge your bow to level 3 instantly.
Oh.
That was a cool thing that they had in Generations for some of the styles, but that's not back, unfortunately. But it's very much the world bow. Yuna really likes the Dragon Piercer, even though the bow in the demo is absolute junk. So the amount of damage you do on that thing is not very good. But she loves the files and the effects and just the mobility and the hunter arts. I'll say here that the Herculean draw seems to power you up by quite a bit.
Oh yes.
But it's so easy to forget to use it.
Yeah, it's
I
one of
really
those
like
things.
the backflip though, even though I think some people don't.
I think the backflip on the bow is actually really good because one of the things that happens in the bow often is you run out of stamina because you're constantly charging shots. So the backflip, you get invincibility frames, and on top of it, your stamina regenerates throughout the whole jump, and it regenerates more if you don't move afterwards. So that was actually something that I really, really enjoyed. The backflip on the bow, at least, because that just like felt very natural. It's like, hey, I'm out of stamina, jump back and get more stamina.
Imagine that thing with stamina, recovery up, speed up. Imagine how fast it's going to be.
Yeah, you basically have full stamina by the time you land. So I think that'd be.
But I don't. Tell me your thoughts on the bow, because I don't have a very good informed opinion, because I obviously have not wrapped my head around how to play the thing yet.
So the bow, essentially, one of the things that they changed was that in World, you had the 3 rapid shots, which would charge after each shot, and then you would usually go into the spread shots, if I remember correctly, which was circle. So in World, they were spread shots. And here, they're just power shots.
The types again.
So if they're power shots, they land, like you can actually shoot it further away and hit every arrow on the target. So that's like the main difference that I noticed. The other thing is that you no longer have the rocks dropping. But I don't know, it's kind of weird coming as someone who played the bow for the first time in World and coming to this. It feels very different, a little bit disorienting even. Because like in one way, it's similar in that you basically go 3 charge shots and then double tap circle for the next 2 shots. But a lot of times, like I said, I interrupted myself. I don't know if it's the delay on the controller or what it is, and I would end up doing an arc shot instead. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But you know, it feels solid. I like the leap backwards, and I like the fact that Herculean draw not only buffs your arrows, it also buffs your melee hits, just like your coatings. Your coatings also buff your melee hits, I was like, oh, okay.
And so, the melee hits are pretty powerful, actually. I was surprised.
They're
like
pretty
the 2-hit combo and the jumping vault.
Mm-hmm. They hit hard.
Feels good.
But ultimately, it's still a ranged weapon. And it's like, I know that people are saying that it's not a good showing for the bow, but it's like, it's not a good showing for the bow in the same way that it's not a good showing for the dual blades, because both the bow and the dual blades, these are elemental weapons, and we don't have elemental damage.
Them of all of it.
So it's like, you know, you're not going to be able to get much out of the weapon because you're missing one of the main things of your weapon. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say.
Give everybody their first blast bow and they'll be in love all over again.
Just make the monsters explode. Boom.
Nothing quite feels like a blast bow. I love it.
In World though, I'll tell you, most of bow play was actually elemental from my understanding. Like people would not use blast bows.
Well, when you can pelt off shots that fast, yeah. Pew, 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 pew. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's pretty beast.
Monster parts flying all over the place.
World.
Which brings us to the bow guns.
Yeah,
bow guns. What do you think about this?
I don't like the new mechanic of the heavy bow gun. The charge.
I haven't even touched it yet. Tell me. So let's do the heavy bow gun first. Tell me about it. I've not touched it yet.
So the heavy bow gun, the thing that, in a way, it's like I'm super happy they did this because it gives a clear differentiation between what the heavy bow gun can do and what the light bow gun can do. And what it can do is it can charge every shot with the exception of like the shots that put you in a mortar position. So like cluster bombs and stuff. Yeah, every shot. So like you can charge a sticky and it doubles the damage of the sticky if you charge it all the way.
Jeez.
Yeah. So you can charge elemental ammo, it deals more damage. You can charge piercing shots, it deals more damage. You can charge spread shots, it deals more. So everything can be charged just like the same 3 levels as a greatsword. So like if you charge it 2 levels, it's a little bit more damage. 3 levels,
not just 1. Wow.
Yeah. So you get 3 levels of charge for every single shot in that weapon. Again, with the exception of mortar, fire, so like the cluster bombs.
So do you think focus heavy bowgun might be a thing?
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be a thing. 100%. Assuming that focus affects the charge of the heavy bowgun, that is definitely going to be a key skill that I feel like anyone who plays a heavy bowgun most likely will want to have.
I did not know this.
So it's like at this point, I think what most people are saying is that if you spam it, it's more damage, but it's more DPS, but it's not more damage per shot. So it all depends. Okay, do you want to go back to the tent, pick up more shots? Because like you're not going to be crafting in here. And I've heard that there's some things with the crafting, like you can't do craft all. Like I don't know what's the deal with that.
That's probably just a side effect of it being a demo.
Okay, I hope that's the case.
Is what I'm hearing. It better be, because if you have to do like crafting pierce ammo one at a time by hitting the damn analog, then I'm going to be very unhappy. But I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think it would make a lot of sense, because like at least it felt like crafting in World was like super on point for the little bit of light bowgun that I played. But so you can charge every shot. That's kind of like the differentiating factor. And every time that you charge it, it deals more damage. I'm very curious to see how it's going to work with the piercing elemental ammo, because elemental ammo automatically pierced in World, whereas in here it doesn't. So we have to see how that's going to pan out. But yeah, it's basically, it charges its shots. Now, the other things that it does is it's got a Silkbind move that is basically like a get out of the way. It's basically like you just dodge into direction. And then the other Silkbind move I actually really like, but it's a heavy one. So it costs 2 Wirebugs, but I friggin' love it. It's a counter. You sense a theme here. It's a counter. But the reason I didn't like this counter initially is because it takes a long ass time to charge. So basically like the monster comes at you, you set up the block, you block it, and then he starts charging up a shot. Like you start to,
and you turn in the direction you want to shoot.
You turn in the direction you want to shoot, and then it fires. So the thing that I was doing wrong is that I was waiting until it would fire by itself. But then someone in chat just told me, yeah, it doesn't deal any more damage if you wait for the shot. You can just
shoot it. Yeah, the reason you can just time it.
Yeah, the reason it takes that long to charge is to give you time to aim. And so then you aim and you press fire and boom. And that is super satisfying. Like I blasted
Wait, so
Mizu's
if it's right in
face.
front of you, you can just do counter boom, like right to it?
Yeah, if the monster's standing in front of you, sure. Just like straight up.
Wow. How's the damage on that?
I think it's one of the hardest hitting things. Like it dealt 100 something damage. I think the highest I've seen it do is like 140 or something like that. So it's pretty good, but it is 2 Wirebugs. So it's still a hefty price, but
so does the heavy bowgun in the demo, does it have a shield on it or no?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. So basically you can just like sit there firing forever.
Tank style. Yeah. You could just charge, shoot, guard, charge, shoot, guard, get out of the way, do rinse and repeat. That sounds fun. I'm going to have to try that out.
And there's even something that people called out to my attention, which is if you shoot and you sidestep, you have infinite sidesteps. So you can what? I mean, infinite sidesteps for as long as you have stamina. So basically like you fire.
Are you kidding me?
And then it sidesteps slightly to the side and you can keep going. You can keep sidestepping. Yeah.
I think we need to end this podcast. I need to go try that.
I don't know how good that is. That sounds
really cool.
Because like I said, like I struggle to properly see how I'm supposed to play the weapon, because I'm not particularly good with ranged weapons to begin with. So it's like having to choose, do I charge the shot? Do I not charge the shot? I end up always going for charging the shot. And then it just feels like...
Does it have a siege mode or no?
You mean a siege mode?
I don't know what to call it.
Oh, wait.
But it's when you press X and A and you sort of lay down on the ground and you get like more ammo, but you can't move.
I don't think so, but I didn't really try it, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, shit, that sounds fun though. Like the heavy bowgun sounds like it's
Yeah.
going to be a decent choice.
It's like I said, one of the things that I like is that it definitely differentiates itself from the light bowgun.
From
It's like,
light bowgun, yeah.
Light bowgun is the fast firing one. You just like pop, 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 and super mobility and all
Nimble as
that.
shit, yeah. You're just like,
Heavy
woohoo.
bowgun, you charge your shots, right? But so I played a little bit of light bowgun today because again, it's one of those that I still have to make a video on. And I actually really enjoyed light bowgun. The reason I'm probably going to end up not playing it is because I can never be asked to deal with ammunition. Like it's too much. Like I can't. Like if I had infinite ammunition, I probably would play ranged weapons more. But having to deal with crafting the ammunition is like no thanks. I'll pass.
Once they add in the craft all, then I'm golden because I covered it in my video as well. But you can filter the mini map to specific. For example, like if you're going up against Mizutsune, you want to use Pierce, right? You can filter your minimap so that it only shows the location of latchberries, which give you 40 shots. All you do is pick it up once, it's 40 Pierce ammo. And so anytime you hold L, you can immediately see if there's a latchberry, you just grab it, boom, 40 ammo right there. You're ready to go.
Yeah, but it's still like, I don't know.
It's still management, yeah.
Yeah, because like I remember I did it for Kulf to Roth because that hunt was boring as hell. So I was just like, I mean, the first time you do it, it's great, but like, you know, the 30th time you do it, it's boring as hell.
I ran out of normal 2 ammo. Let me go buy a 999 more.
Yeah, like, so basically what I would do is for that hunt, I would just like take enough materials to craft 120 of the ammunition she was weak to. And I was like, sure, I'll do it for this one fight because I want to just be able to AFK through it. So I was just like, I would point my light bowgun and it was like, brah, 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 and I'd be like damn near sleeping while I was on Gulf to Roth. But that's the only time that I used light bowgun. But I used light bowgun in the demo, and I really liked it because it's super fast and it felt a lot more fun due to the fact that I didn't have to think, oh, do I need to charge the shot? Do I need to not charge? It was like,
it's just pew-pew-pew.
It's like, pew, 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 pew. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I love the fact that you can plant mines on the monster. I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, that took me, it did not click for me at first because the aiming was hard. And then someone told me, you know, move the camera around when you're in the air. And that changed everything. The move became much easier to use.
Why are you moving the camera? To shoot
if
in
you
the
move
air?
the camera, you get a much better orientation of where you are above the monster, so you know when to hit the A button. And also, as someone was pointing out to me, if you aim your camera when you do that art, you can pretty much hit with every ammo. You can like pierce it from the air, you can normal it from the air, and it's not. I wasn't doing that, so to me, it's like this is the most clunky, crappy art. Until I started doing that, and then I saw the videos of the cluster bomb in the air.
Oh yeah, I didn't see the videos.
Holy shit!
I didn't see the videos, but like I was doing it on stream today with the hunter art for the mines, and I was like, huh. Can I cluster from here? I just jump up.
And it's fast. Boom, and it blows up on an impact. You're just like, hello.
Yep. So that was fun. Yeah.
I warmed up to that art.
But
so I didn't touch the heavy bowgun yet, and I obviously very much need to. You've sold me. I need to touch it now.
I didn't mean to sell you.
I really
liked it. I want you to know that I hate it. I don't want to sell you on it. The one thing I like about the one thing I liked about the heavy bowgun is that counter.
But everything you were saying sounds awesome.
Okay, the way maybe you like the things I was saying. I didn't like the things I was saying.
What? I like it. It sounds cool. But light bowgun, I really, really enjoy.
Yeah. Light bowgun.
Mainly because the amount of ammo that's laying around the maps to me really helps. And just being able to just grab and auto collect. Like I was showing Yuna Generations Ultimate the other night, and and she was just disgusted. I'm like, I'm so happy I did not try to get her into Monster Hunter with this game because she's looking at it. I'm like, yes, you collect everything one at a time. And she's looking at like, what the hell?
She's like, no.
She's like, wait, where's the damage, Dad? Oh, it doesn't tell you the damage.
There's no damage numbers.
Wait, why is there loading? Oh yeah, there's loading between zones. What? She's like, wait, how do you know where the monster is at start? You don't.
You put a paint. Huh? No, actually, you can. Oh. You can. You should have told her. You have a psycho serum, and you have the balloon up here.
She saw it and she's like, yeah, I'm happy I didn't start with this game, but
These young whippersnappers.
I know, but just like there's literally 40 ammo of Pierces laying all over the map. I don't know how well that's going to translate into like Pierce 2, Pierce 3. I don't know whether or not this is going to be the Pierce 1 game like it was in Generations Ultimate, or whether or not, Elemental is going to be the thing. Who knows? We'll have to wait to see how they balance the game. But I just, like you said, I love the mobility of the light bowgun. I feel so nimble on my feet. And with the nice jump in the air, I can jump over attacks. I'm still not quite sold on the jump forward and do the slicing shot.
Oh, dude, I love that.
I mean, it's nice, but like, just give me slicing ammo at that point, right?
Yeah, you can still get slicing ammo, but it's like, you know me, I just like explosions. So that shot's like a big blast right in the monster's face. So what I like doing is I'll plant 3 mines on it, and then I'll jump up in there, and then badoof.
Now, one thing I do like, and I showcase this in my video, is how you can like instantly mount a monster at the very beginning, because the mine on the back of the monster will break their back and immediately let you mount them. Oh, so you like start out, you run into a monster, you do the jumpy, you plant one little wyvern on their back, and you just go pew, 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 and their back starts blowing up, and you see 36, 36, 36, 36, 36, all in blue, and all of a sudden they're mountable, and you're like, that was easy.
Oh. Interesting. I didn't even pay attention to the type of damage that it did. Yeah.
But, it's insane. So like you literally run into a Rathian or Mizutsune and you're mounting in one hit. You're done.
But that counter, by the way, was actually how I finished up Mizu. Like he went to sleep and I was like, okay, here's 3 mines in your face. And then here's my hardest hitting attack. And I just went up, and he just died. And I was like, good. It's so satisfying.
I tell you, the Wyvern Blast or whatever you call those are the best thing that ever happened to that weapon in the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Those things are so fun.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, you should have seen.
Is there a skill?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. That's the problem with.
With the delay between Portugal and Japan.
We end up talking over each other because of the small delays of half a second.
In Iceborne, they added something which I don't know. I mean, you did play it in Iceborne. Did you ever try out the modified Wyvern Blast?
Yeah, I didn't feel it, to be honest. So you shoot it forward.
You shoot it forward, but you have to shoot it into an attack.
Oh.
You shoot that into an attack.
That was lost on me.
Like, I remember, I think I did 400 damage or something with one of those, or 800 damage, or something ridiculous. Like, I was like, what? It was on a Great Jaguars because I was testing it, and Great Jaguars goes to do something. I'm just like, doop. It was like, boom. It's just falls over to the side. It's like, stop. So that thing was brutal. That thing was a lot of fun. But yeah, the Wyvern Blast mines are friggin' amazing for the life.
Is there a skill that lets them recharge faster? If so, I'm totally gonna use that.
I mean, there's a skill that increases their damage. I don't remember if it increases how fast they charge. It was the secret. It wasn't a secret skill, actually. It was the special shot or something like that. It was a skill that had. It was a 2-point skill that you could get, and it would increase the damage of Wyvern Blast, Wyvern Heart, and Wyvern Snipe. And I think it also had a couple of other weapons that it affected. But I think the thing that could potentially reduce the cooldown on it was focus. But if it did reduce it, it was so little that it was not worth. So I don't think there's anything to reduce the cooldown. At least in World, I don't think there was. But again, I could be wrong because I don't play those weapons all that much.
Yeah, but bowguns I think are solid. I think they're good. I'm gonna have to try out that heavy bowgun. That sounds interesting to me.
I don't know about the heavy bowgun. I don't know what it is. Here's the thing, right? I think it's really powerful because stickies were incredibly dominant in World and Iceborne. Yeah. And the fact that you can charge a sticky to deal double the damage, I think is ridiculous. So if you just fire the sticky normally, it was 20 damage or whatever, and if you charge, it was 40. And I was like, this is I don't want nothing to do with this. No, I was the other way around.
It's gonna be some dirty hunts.
It is some dirty hunts with those goddamn stickies, dude. I really hope they add some severe diminishing returns to sticky ammunition, because if they don't, I don't want to see World
stickies
all
were
over
overpowered.
Again. Yeah, stickies were busted, but it's it was busted in a way that it made, if you were hunting with someone that was using stickies, Unless you were also down for like, I don't want to have a challenging hunt. I just want to like beat on this monster and get my materials, go home.
Yeah.
Like if that was your mindset, sure. But if you were up for actually doing a hunt and having fun
and hunting, yeah.
Like you could just see like someone going after a Kushala, and Kushala was just like, oh, I'm trying to fly. I'm trying to fly. Like you would barely lift off the ground. Like one of the most threatening monsters in the game wouldn't even lift off the ground because he would just like get staggered into oblivion. Like I thought that was a little bit
I'm sure they're going
to
do something about it.
I hope so.
But yeah, so overall, I'd say the demo is, I mean, the Wirebugs feel so good once you get used to them. I really like how the execution.
The Wirebugs are amazing. The weapons, even though there's, the occasional weapon that you might like more, I might like more, you might like less, I might like less. I think that overall, it's a pretty good showing for what's to come. Again, if people keep in mind like the limitations, like there's no elemental damage, there's a lot of things.
All the moves aren't there. Like there's silkbind attacks also that are not in the demo that we can potentially swap in and out.
We don't have access to the full move set. There's too many things that are still not there, which is why I keep saying that in my videos. Like, look, if you don't like this weapon now, doesn't mean things won't change before the game comes out. So, But
okay, well, I'm gonna give you one final tinfoil hat thing, which is interesting. Is usually in demos they have 3 hunts, not 2. There's usually beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Yes.
That's always how they do that. In Japanese, they're using beginner and advanced for the wording for the 2 quests, but in English, they're calling it beginner and intermediate.
Yeah.
So that makes me think, is there an advanced quest they're going to do? Like, is there going to be another demo before release? I don't know.
Of course.
The fact that they're using the word intermediate makes me go,
We haven't fought Magnamalo yet. They're going to bring Magnamalo.
I know. It's
as much as I don't like that because they did the same thing for Nergigante.
We need to get wrecked.
Yeah, but I would rather get wrecked by something else other than Magnamalo.
Than the flagship, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather fight the flagship for the first time in the actual final game.
Yeah. But concerning the fact that they had Nergigante in the world demo, it wouldn't surprise me if Magnamalo comes in some sort of a demo. I understand also that it's really hard to get initial game sales recently than it's been in the past years. So I think showing your trump cards a little early in order to get a really good initial sales lot is a sales strategy that a lot of companies are doing recently. I'd rather have that than like you get story games now where they give away the entire story in one trailer. I think we talked about this on a past podcast. Like I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. So if they need to show off a cool monster before release, it is what it is.
I mean, I think it's also something that they've done in the past. Like for instance, the demo for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate included Gore Magala in the demo. The demo for Generations Ultimate, if I'm not mistaken, also included Volstrax, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like,
at least for the Switch one, yeah. So it's a pattern, yeah.
It's a pattern. So in World we had Nergigante, in Iceborne we had Velkhana. So in Rise we're gonna have.
But he was kind of like, if my memory serves correct, though, in World, like Nergigante's demo, he was kind of like a wuss in the demo, but in the actual game he was like pretty strong.
I mean, they nerfed his stats down because the gear that we had available to fight him. Like,
it was crap.
They made him beatable. I wouldn't say a wuss. Like you could still one-shot people in that gear. So
I can't wait to see Magnamalo pick up a monster and do a super slam from the air. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably segue talking into the trailer. But I mean, any final thoughts on the demo overall?
I mean, overall, I just think it's amazing how many hours we can usually get out of these demos, just like experimenting and playing around. And I think the most surprising thing to me was the little mini games that I started finding, like, oh, let's do a fight club. Let's do the Mario Kart drift race with the Palamutes. It's like, I think that was really fun. And overall, just like, I really enjoyed it pretty much because we were just like, chomping at the bit to get a chance to actually play it and see what the Wirebugs are going to feel like. And they feel great. So yeah.
Yeah, they're doing some voodoo with that RE engine because this game on the Switch looks fantastic.
It does.
I know it's... Well, you have to keep in mind that take off the Joy-Cons and this thing literally fits in the back of your jeans pocket. That's insane. And no matter, even with all the mayhem, it holds its 30 frames very strong.
I had a little bit of drops when I was playing with in the 4-player game. I noticed a couple of drops in frames here and there, but it's playing in docked. Like I think if it was undocked, because I said undocked is a little bit smoother. I think undocked it would have held up a little bit better. But when it was docked, yeah, I definitely felt it. A couple of frame drops with everything happening and all the special effects going off and whatnot. But then again, there still might be optimization before the final product because this is like the first demo. So.
Yeah, just a demo, yeah. But overall, good stuff.
Yep.
I love it.
Me too.
I love the... So how about that third trailer that they showed, huh?
Okay.
Oh my God.
So
that whole program.
Revive my memory a little bit here because like I'm a little bit hazy on the details at this point.
You know, at this point, I'm just going to quickly download the trailer because even I am
like
a little...
It's like when I think about the trailer, like first thing comes to mind is obviously the monster, Gos Harag. Well, they call it Gos Harag. Like I thought it was really cool. The way that he looked. Obviously, he's the one that is in the armor for the greatsword. At least it definitely looks like that because of his mane, because of like the look of his face, the colors, all of that just kind of like suits with that weapon. And he is definitely like yokai inspired, like 100%. This is not a traditional monster that you would ever see.
That is a yokai.
That's it. That's just straight up a yokai. It almost seems like, whoa, are we in Monster Hunter or are we in Neo? Like, what the hell's going on? And one of the things that I thought about this monster when I initially saw it, like he puts the breath and he makes a blade of ice in his hand.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, can he freeze the other hand too and dual wield?
Oh man, he'll be a dual blade user. That'd be sweet.
Like as an enrage mechanic.
I can't remember his name in English because in Japanese it's Goshahagi, and I really like that name a lot.
Harag. Harag with an H. Gos Harag.
Huh? It almost sounds like a cousin to like Call of Taroth.
Oh my God. I hope I don't have to go farm him 1,000 million times to have him drop like a weapon, but that's probably not going to be the case, thank God. So the other thing that I instantly...
Hang on a second. I've got the trailer. I've just downloaded it so we can step through it, so to say, because there's so much.
Yeah, there's a ton. It's
there
like,
we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Just overall, though, I got to say, like, there's a lot of companies who do not know how to do pre-recorded digital announcements, right? Like, there's a lot of companies that will try to do it live, which is stupid because there's like no benefit to the viewer of you doing it live versus pre-recorded. Honestly, you just get a whole lot of awkward moments of people going, yeah, and it's like just pre-record it, give us the news, just boom, 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 and they really nailed it. I think.
Then there's a lot of companies that also like the idea of like, hey, they see somebody else do it, like they'll see Nintendo nail a direct or something, and they'll just go like, hey, we should do one of those. And somebody in the back office says something like, we don't have anything to announce. Like, shut up, make one. And then they do something and they don't announce anything that's like, they have no bangers. Right. And then you're just like left watching and you're like, well, this was just like one big long commercial that didn't even tell me anything that I actually wanted to know. Whereas like with this presentation, they were just like, boom, Wyvern Riding, bitch. And you're just like, whoa.
It was a roller coaster of news.
It's like anything they show.
This has to be one of the best digital events I've seen in a while.
It's like, I still remember it's like, oh, we're going to show you just a little bit of Gunlance. Boom, blast dash, bitch. And you're like, what?
I'm an idiot.
Like, what the hell's going on?
Okay, so this is gonna be a weird topic to start on, but they start out by showing the boat that's been sort of crashed in the tundra area, and I know a lot of people looked at this and said it's Zora Magdaros because they saw the Dragonator stuck in the boat.
It's not because they saw
the website
Dragonator.
clearly says it's a boat.
No. It's not because of the Dragonator and the boat. The reason they're saying it's Zora Magdaros is because that little island in the middle of the tundra, there's a section that actually looks like Zora Magdaros' skull. Like if you remember the zone where you actually go up top to his head to like break the magma core on the top of his forehead, like that section in the middle actually resembles a little bit of that on top. And he does have a Dragonator stuck in his head. So I can see that being...
It says, the Frost Islands used to be the nest of a gigantic dragon. Many heroes lost their lives trying to slay the beast, turning it into a barren place of desolation and death. In the center of the isles lies great dragon bones and the remnants of a dragon ship. The final traces left by a desperate struggle.
I love
I guess I just don't see the silhouette. It's just I'm blind, so...
If you look over that trailer, I'm sure you could. It's like I can see the silhouette. That's not me saying that like, oh yeah, that's totally like a Zora Magdaros. It's more me saying I can see that being a Zora Magdaros' skull. I'm not saying it is. I can see it, but it's like I think that zone looks amazing because of the fact that you have the ship, you have the Dragonators. There's like a Dragonator coming off of the thing that they say is Zora Magdaros' skull. So just imagine like. The desperate struggle. Let's just put a Dragonator to his goddamn head. Bow! It's like, what the hell? And there's like chains. I think you'll be able to walk like maybe on top of the chains and whatnot. Like it looks like a very interesting map. But, you know, at the same time, you're not going to be fighting on top of those chains. Just like, you know, there's a lot of interesting features in Shrine Ruins, but you're not really going to be fighting on a lot of those areas. It's just areas for you to like explore and collect and whatnot, maybe encounter one or two minions here and there.
Yeah, so I mean, the trailer starts out by teasing sort of that new area and showing. I love the editing on showing off Gos Harag, just sort of like lurking and as the yokai in the mountains, just like
yeah.
Then I guess we won't step through it. I'll just try to come up with the main things. I mean, they showed off a lot of stuff, right? So I think the first one we'll talk about maybe is the map. Like what are your overall thoughts about the Frost Islands?
It's like I remember you and I were talking about it, and it's like you were saying I want to see, I think you said you wanted to see the tundra, and I said I wanted to see Arctic Ridge. And it's like none of us got.
You got them both.
we got something
a
better
little bit of both, sort of.
Because we got a new one, and I was like, you know what? A new one is actually the best way to go about it. You don't have any of the old maps. You just get a new map, and boom, that's it. So I was happy about it.
Yeah, you get the mountains, you got the caves, you got everything you would want from a snow map, right? Really.
Particularly with the stuff that they've learned from Hoarfrost Reach, I'm very curious to see if they've implemented any of those things in there. Like there was that thing where you could like push a monster into a wall, and in that specific wall, like the floor would like start caving in and they would slide all the way down to a cave. Like that was really creative, and I thought that was really cool. Like I want to see stuff like that. I want to see like stuff like we had where if you didn't have stuff to like walk on water or whatever, like your character actually moves slower, struggles a little bit. That area where you fought Tigrex, like it had a lot of environmental stuff. And I know people look at it and it's like, well, that was actually annoying as hell. And it's like, yes, but that's a part of like what Monster Hunter is like you having to deal with the adverse conditions of the hunt. That's why you prepare for the hunt. You either take the skills to compensate for it, or you bring the consumables to compensate for it, but you definitely want to compensate for it. And I think that those are always interesting to, introduce those different modifiers into the hunts and whatnot. So I hope that we see some of that in that map. Instead of just like, no, you just get a hot drink and Bob's your uncle. And it's like, well, about that.
One thing I like is that the colorful nature of like the armor and the weapons and the monsters themselves work really good with this like this sort of blue white map. Everything just kind of pops and looks like, and I think the Hoarfrost Reach to a degree also benefited from it as well, is that the color palette is different from the monsters, so you can actually see what's going on. Where like sometimes in the forest you might get a little lost and disoriented.
Yeah, it's like the contrast of the white with whatever monster happens to be in there. It does work very good, and it makes for a very good artistic showcase, so to speak, whenever you're fighting them and stuff.
So I think you said you hated the monster, if I'm not mistaken.
What monster?
I was very happy to see Lagombi back.
It's mostly because I have.
You don't hate it.
I have bad memories of Snow Baron because like I had to hunt him so much to get my friend his set that I was just like, by the time we were done, I was like, dude, I'm totally burned out on Snow Baron. Like to get him like this silly aerial set that he would use all the time because that thing came with all kinds of stuff for aerial. But it's Snow Baron more so than Lagami because Snow Baron has this thing where he slides in his ass and then he just like freezes you and you go into like popsicle status and that's annoying. Yeah. So it's more that than anything else. And I know that we just talked about how, there's mechanics that's annoying. You're supposed to bring consumables, but like the problem is how often friggin' Snow Baron would do it. Like it doesn't matter if you would bring 20 consumables, that bastard would freeze you 25 times just to annoy the crap out of you. So yeah. But yeah, regular Lagombi.
I'm excited to see it back.
Regular Lagombi, I actually find him interesting because I like seeing him slide on his belly. He's funny. They're like,
Yuna saw the armor and she's like, I want the armor for that. The little bunny ears on the armor. It looks like cozy winter suit. It's cute.
He is.
And then they showed off. Cute. When I saw the Gunlance move and I immediately thought of you, I was like, I bet you he's screaming right now.
I was like, oh my God, Blast Dash. Oh.
And we can't not talk about Kezu's beautiful smile.
Oh man. Yeah, he's got them big red lips.
What a beauty. Nice little grin on the face. I love it.
He's putting on some lipstick and everything to really make it up to people. It's like, hey, I know you guys missed me. I got all, like fixed up and stuff to come and see you guys. But yeah, he's in there. He's got that big long neck as usual. They even call it out. You got to be careful with the long neck of Kezu when in the presentation that they did afterwards, talking about all the monsters. But yeah, I'm still not looking too forward to fighting Kezu again. I know that he's got the best team in the business, but still, I don't want to get burned out.
I love the pacing. They showed Tigrex, and you're like, yeah, you got to have him back. And then immediately the hunter's like, I'm gonna puppeteer you, and you're like, wait, what? The hell just happened?
Just like Wyvern Riding.
If there's any monster you want to puppeteer, Tigrex is the best one to show it off at first. I thought was hilarious.
A funny comment that I've heard from people was that, I think it was Rage Gaming, Josh. He said, so Atal Ka was using Silkbind monsters the whole time to pilot the freaking because he does have like a lot of not Silkbind, but like golden silk thread stuff to operate his little mech thing. Atal Nest or whatever it's called, Atal Nestus.
Yeah. And then we got Magnamalo. Oh man. So Magnamalo I thought was interesting because you can see moves of both Zinogre and Nargacuga in the monster and also some new stuff as well. And it's just anime as shit. Like it's got all these like crazy gas, poison, whatever balls they are. Like these purple things.
Hellfire.
Blow up and
I think they called it Hellfire gas. And I was like, how are they going to justify the monster having access to Hellfire gas? Like, where is he getting this crazy power?
Yeah, they said that it generates it from eating monsters.
Oh, so maybe he has acid reflux too, just like me. So he eats the monsters and then it like comes back up in the form of Hellfire gas.
And I know they're using the word hellfire in English, but in Japanese, I believe they're using onibi, which means it's sort of like will-o'-the-wisp. It's kind of like
I like the way that you said that word because you said onibi, and I'm like oni demons.
Onibi. Yeah. Oh yeah, onibi. Yeah, that's what they call it. But it's will-o'-the-wisp in English, but that's a kind of it sounds weak to say that. So you want to say, yes, Magnamalo commands a special will-o'-the-wisp-like energy. It's like, no, Hellfire works much better. It's almost like Foxfire, right? With the Heavenly Mizutsune, with like the Foxfire blue flames. It's a thing.
Interesting. But, so it's actually
that suplex, that slam from the sky though against the Rathalos, that was awesome.
Oh yeah, when they started fighting the turf war with Rathalos, that was insane, dude. Like what the hell? Like they were literally like up in the air and like, and that's the other thing. Like a lot of the turf wars in this game, they feel a little bit more exaggerated. Like that just took me back also to the first time that you see Tetranodon facing off against Urzuros. And he's like, he doesn't seem to be able to beat him. So he just grabs him. He tries to eat him. He's like, I'm just going to eat you. I was like, what the hell, dude? Like it's
sorry, so I got one more thing to add that I forgot, which is, actually, this might make a lot of sense if you've watched Japanese horror movies, but there's this idea that the souls of fallen soldiers remain, and it's kind of like an energy. So, like, if you remember, if you ever watched the Akira Kurosawa film called Dreams, it's a really good movie.
I didn't,
it's a collection of short dreams that he made into stories.
But it's actually interesting because I told you, I played Ghost of Tsushima last year, played the entirety of that, and that is very much based around Japanese culture and whatnot from the island of Tsushima. And so the whole game is also based on Kurosawa. I've never seen a Kurosawa movie, but in the game, they have something just like what you described. There's actually a quest where you go and it's like, oh, the spirits of fallen warriors are haunting this particular part of the forest. They feel compelled to protect the forest and whatnot. And so, I can get the reference just from what I've played of Ghost of Tsushima, which, oh man, it just brings another dimension to that game as well. That game is friggin' sweet, but keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think the idea is that when they die, soldiers or the warriors, like the Bushido warriors, like, they're filled with rage and anger, and so it can't let their spirit move on. So they're using this idea, and they mentioned on this website, actually, it's the same idea that they're bringing into where he eats a monster, and then the leftover energy remains as this hellfire. It's almost like a parody on the idea of a fallen soldier, their spirit and their anger remaining, and he's channeling that into this crazy gas.
Again, extremely
it's
Oni
anime,
inspired,
man.
Extremely Oni inspired, just like Gosarag. Very like, I can't wait to see what new monsters await us. Like when you have stuff like Magnamalo already in there, and you got Gosarag. Like I'm very curious to see, because this particular monster hunter is almost crossing two worlds that are very familiar. You're crossing Monster Hunter with Neo in a lot of ways, with all of this yokai stuff, which is really cool. And it's funny because before Neo, like my idea of yokai was basically the little creatures from Yokai Watch.
Yeah.
So it's like,
gosh.
When they were talking about, they're like, oh yeah, this game is all about Onis and yokai. And I'm like, yokai? You mean like Yokai Watch? Like what?
Like the cute little whispers.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's when I realized, oh, yokai has other meanings. It's not just about Yokai Watch. All right.
This is funny. After the trailer, Yuna watched it with me, and we had a really good time, and she was excited. She wanted me to buy her the Magnamalo T-shirt. Do they have it here in Japan? So I bought her that from the Capcom store. Have you seen it before, the design?
No, I haven't seen it at all, actually.
Oh, I should show it to you. It's crazy. It's a black T-shirt with like all this like hellfire coming up from it, and it's like a shadow of like this. You can sort of see the silhouette of the monster.
Oh wait, I think I saw that. Wasn't one of the developers using it during one of the TGS things or something?
Yeah, it's a cool T-shirt, but she wanted it. She likes the name in Japanese is fun for her to say. She likes it. It's Magai Magado.
Magai Magado?
Magai Magado.
Is there like a special meaning to it, or is it just like, no, it's just a name?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah. People ask all the time, it's like, oh, what are they singing? I'm like, it's Wyvern. I don't know. They did say Kamura. You know,
it's French translated into Japanese with heavy accent, or no, it's Japanese translated
that was the diva,
into
but
French.
I don't think they're doing that for Wyvern. I don't know what they're doing for that, but
okay. I thought that was also.
But some of the names in Japanese are really cute. Like Kezu has such a cute name in Japanese. It's Furu.
Furu. Yeah, it almost sounds like a cute little cuddly animal that you could have. It's a little
I know,
furu.
it's cute.
Yeah. Totally not something with a long neck that will kill you and electrocute you. Yes.
Yes, definitely not phallic shaped.
Yes, at all, with wings.
Then Lagombi is Urukususu is the name for that. So also Barioth returning. What do you think about that? I'm kind of like ditto on that. I mean, it was kind of a given.
Yeah, I mean, it always seems like whenever you have Tigrex, Barioth just kind of comes along. It's like I'm a bit of a mixed bag on Barioth, because I feel like they amped him up to 11 too much on World. So it's like the idea is supposed to be that, like, at least correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea behind Barioth is like he's very agile, super fast, annoying to fight. But once you break his wings, you get the openings whenever he falls down. But in World, he recovered so fast that you would break a wing, you would end up like falling like God knows where after he charged at you. And by the time you got to him, he was already back up and flying. And you're just like,
yeah,
it's not a particularly fun fight. Like I like the concept of the monster, but I just think that in Iceborne, he was just a pain in the ass to fight. Like, I don't think he felt that bad in Gen U, personally.
He remains to this day my favorite monster to lance. Because basically you just stand there and he does all the work.
Yeah, you stand there.
It's like, come to me. Yeah. Yes. Oh, can you please put your nice long saber tooth exactly where I need it to be? Okay, thank you.
Poke, poke.
Can you please just turn around and let your tail be? Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Can you really telegraph that you're about to do a check slam with your hip? Okay, thank you. We're good.
But it's like
it's
particularly for me that at the time I think that I was playing Sword and Shield. I was like, oh God, using Sword and Shield to fight Barioth.
Stop moving.
It's like woo, and it's like I have like 0 reach, my dude. Can you just stand still for a second so that I can break your wings? Then I'd break his wings. It's like, I'm still moving all over the place. So I don't know. It's like if they, come up with different mechanics. Like I thought the other Barioth that came around, Frostfang, that one was more interesting.
Yeah.
Because he had more.
Yeah, that was unique.
Although he was also extremely easy. Like I remember when I went up against him, I just like thrashed him completely. Because like we were just coming off of, what was it? It was...
Yeah, you had the power creep also because of the way that they try to structure the DLC.
I remember that we were just coming off of another strong monster. I don't remember exactly which one it was. It might have been Safi. I don't think it was Safi. I think it was something else. It was something. Oh no, it was Alatreon. It was Alatreon. Yeah, of course. It's like so we were just coming off of Alatreon, which was like this really challenging thing. So I even remember I made this set specifically for him because I was like, dude, this thing's gonna be so hard coming out of Alatreon. And then I just went up to him, long punching shelling. It was like boom, 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 dead. And I was like, oh, okay.
What? I was like, I think they reversed the order.
Yeah, maybe Frostfang should have came before, but Frostfang was at least
he was pretty cool though.
He was more interesting because at least he wasn't like this friggin' Energizer bunny just jumping all over the place and going to places that didn't even hit him.
That is true. But I love all the stuff that they showed afterwards, just like all the different areas, like the new training ground. Like you can have multiple people in there. You've got the moving targets for gunners. You've got a programmable like frog monster that can hit back. You can break it. Like it's a true training room.
It was Tetranodon. It was a mechanical Tetranodon. I think at least that's definitely what it looked like. That was very interesting. The target practice in the back where I remember I zoomed in on it and someone commented on my video saying, man, that poor insect glaive user didn't hit a single target with that insect. I was like, oh my God, you're right.
The insect in the demo is so slow that you'd probably get the target, go all the way around the facility, come back, and it might hit it on the way back.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead with that insect. Like 2 years in advance ahead type of.
Gosh.
But
just the Gathering Hall looks great.
The Gathering Hall looks very similar to Celiana, though. It reminded me a lot of Celiana, the style of it. But, having Hojo there in the middle, like doing his little watercolor paintings and stuff, like on top of his little baby Tetsukabra. Like that
I
was
love the
freaking
fact
sweet.
that he's the one who drew the icons. Like they actually put lore of who and why. I love that.
And I actually meant to ask you this: is he the first guild master that we actually see? Do we ever have?
I mean, there's always like one like guild master leader in the gathering hall. Usually, there's either like the elder from for ultimate. There was
but are they
the
actual
Wyvern
guild masters?
girl in the Hunter's Pub.
Because usually those aren't those like those are like whatchamacallit, the elders and stuff. Are they guild masters? Like is the girl on the pub, is she a guild master? From the guild?
Yeah, she should be. Or guild, I don't know how you would call them, but
guild representative.
I would say that she's a higher up representative from the guild.
Yeah, but Hojo is a guild master. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting
look up the terms. I didn't notice anything.
Too hung up. Maybe I'm getting too hung up on terms. But like my first thought when I heard guild master, I was like, guild master. Like that sounds more important than usual. But it could just be
because he's just called a guild manager in Japanese.
Okay.
But I mean, there's always a guild manager in all the different quests, as far as I know. So hang on, let me see. Guild master. So I'm looking. Yeah, there's a guild master in every game. Both Poke, Yukumo, the everything else. Maybe they didn't call it guild master in English before. Maybe they just called it something differently. But yeah, they've had them since Monster Hunter DOS, pretty much. Like there's always been a guild master.
Okay, then it's just me reading too much into that title. I just thought he was like some really big shot over at the guild, because you're always hearing stuff about the Hunters Guild this, the Hunters Guild that, and when they said guild master, like holy crap, this dude must be hella important, and he's got a baby Tetsukaba, which just adds more credence to that. Just like dude rides around with baby Tetsukaba. Dude, he's
just the one who's in charge of taking care of the hall, and I guess Minoto works for him.
He seems like he came straight out of Monster Hunter stories, like riding that little Tetsukabra, his dude. I wonder if he's got the little dango on there, and it's eating it. I wonder if that's like the connecting link. Like maybe he comes from stories too into our world, and that's like kind of how they link the two games together. Maybe I'm trying to read too much into it. I don't know. I'm always trying to find like those connections.
I think he'll just be a jolly, jolly man with a very good penmanship and knack for drawing.
I like the art style that they're doing for the monsters and whatnot. I think it looks really good, and you can see that in that map that loads whenever you go into the hunts. That little watercolored drawing map. Yeah. That's also really cool.
All the art is just fantastic, isn't it?
Yep. Pretty much. I'm sold.
I'm
just still not a huge fan
of
the
NPCs they showed, though. Oh my god.
Yeah. The NPCs were looking
I'm looking at the list here. You got Hojo, who's awesome. You got Minoto, who obviously I'm a big fan of.
Was it you that made a Twitter post saying that trader girl, Rodina, or whatever her name is, that there was like some references from Portugal in her or something like that?
I didn't write that. I think someone else mentioned it, but I mean, it would make sense if you'd be the pro on this one. If there's anything in the outfit that screams Portugal, I mean, Japan has a thing where it was a closed country, but like they let in a lot of people from Portugal in the southern part of the country. So a lot of the math and science in Japan historically came from Portugal.
I mean, if I remember correctly, her costume is green, correct? Rodina's costume is green.
Yeah.
So like the Portugal's country flag is red and green. Red stands for courage. Green stands for hope. So
she's green and yellow.
She's green and yellow. Okay, so in the middle of our flag, there's also a yellow circle, which is like our, what do you call those? It's like our crest. Portugal doesn't just have colors; it also has like a crest in the middle of our flag. So it could actually be a reference to Portugal now that I think about it, because I don't know how much you know about Portuguese history, but like we were like some of the greatest explorers back in the day when it came to like exploring the seas. to the point where Ubisoft was making like some kind of a boat game. And they're like, oh yeah, the Portuguese warship. Not like Portuguese warship.
I was gonna say, like, just like Japan, Portugal is a super significant country again, because when they had the country closed, one of the few countries they did trading with was Portugal, and that's where they got all their Western knowledge and books from. So a lot of everything in Japan is built on that.
Because we friggin' had a monopoly on the seas back in the day. Nowadays, we're like a footnote in the maps of history, but back in the day, we were a pretty big deal. The Portuguese people.
Does Randine sound particularly Portuguese to you?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't think she's Portuguese, but maybe they did a little bit of reference. You said that
we get the Westerner inside the Japanese village.
Yeah, you said that they had.
Yeah, she's.
You said that they had maps, like some of the pictures in their back were like from other games.
Yeah, so the in the trailer, or was it the trailer or the whatever, the video that it showed?
Yeah,
like she's got the boat and she's got the cat in the background drawing with some drawings and paintings, and you get some references. There's the Yukumo village. There was like something from Monster Hunter 4U that was in there. So it's just like some paintings from old world locations from previous Monster Hunter games. So they're just showing off that she's been around the old world. Like she does not come from Kamura. And I think it just establishes that Kamura is, I don't know where the heck it's located. They haven't really talked about it, and I don't know if they will. But whoever Rondine is, she's been to other villages, which is great because that means that we could have lots of call outs and shout outs to other villages in Monster Hunter thanks to her. Like she could easily bring in items and stuff from Burna or from Yukumo or Poke or something like that. Because she gets around. So she's like the foreign trader. She goes out, she comes back with a bunch of stuff. So I'm interested to see what we might be able to trade, if it's just items or whether or not there's actually some cool world lore things going on.
That's actually one of the things that I miss the most from 4U, was just having more than one village. Like not in the same way that you have in like Generations, because like in Generations, yeah, there's a bunch of villages, but you know, it's like it's just
not the same, yeah.
And 4U, you would actually go out and you know, okay, so we're going from this village to that village.
Story for each one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and that is something that I've kind of missed in Monster Hunter. I love the fact that you had these different villages that you would go through, and and they would even like, okay, so from this one going by boat, and now we're gonna like outfit your boat with like a balloon so that it can fly. We're gonna go to this other place. And it's like, that made it a little bit more special, the progression of the game, and being always in the same village loses a little bit of the charm for me. Like I really like the way that it did in 4U, and I'm always hoping that eventually they go back to that style of like, oh, we're gonna go through these multiple villages. It's gonna be really cool. I mean, in Gen U, it's mostly like you go to the different villages just to, you know, check off the little yellow dialogues that show up. It's like, oh yeah, gotta go to the foot bath and have a word with a cat.
I would agree, yeah, for sure. But then you got Yori, who is kind of like handling all the whole companion area of the game, which is cool.
Oh yeah, the little kid who trains
like the mini games with Kogarashi, my favorite new cat. This is a badass ninja-like cat that sends out the Meowcenaries.
The Meowcenaries.
Like it's not even the Meowster Hunters. Now it's the Meowcenaries. I like that.
I just hope that it's, again, it almost seems to me like everything goes back to 4U, but I really like the mini game that was in 4U, where you would actually have like the blue beats red and red beats yellow, yellow beats blue, something like that. And then you would set up your little palicos, you would send them out, and then you would actually do the mini game where it's like, okay, now we're going to use the bomb in this one, and this one's going to use this. Like that was cooler to me because it involved a little bit more interaction as opposed to like, I'll just fire them from a cannon, or, you know, just send them out and have them come back. But I get it. Not everybody wants to do the little mini games things every single time, but I like that. I mean, I even liked back in Freedom Unite when you would actually go back to your farm. It's like, oh, I'm going to plant some more herbs and I'm going to put some some friggin' fertilizer in here and gonna get some more blue mushrooms. It's like, and yeah, that hasn't happened in a while. And I don't think it's gonna be coming back for this because, people just want to get in, get their hunts, get out. But I did enjoy that little mini aspect because it gave you a pause between hunts. Right? It's like in between hunts, okay, I need to go do some stuff in my farm. And now it's like there's no pause. It's like, okay, go hunt more, do more things, hunt more, boom, boom, boom. And I like the breaks in between. Like it was cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna do.
Yeah, but
did you read the description on him though? Kogarashi used to be the village elder Fugen's Palico before he retired and became the village elder. So when he was a hunter still.
It's just like the muscular chef who used to be the admiral's Palico. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And they say that Kogarashi could take on all the villagers' felines at once. Apparently, he kicks so much ass.
Damn, that is pretty.
So I can't wait
badass.
to see if there's some story involvement with this guy. I want to see the cat kick some butt. That and of course we know that whatever quest those things are going to have, you're going to get that outfit. So I can't wait to get the Kogarashi outfit for my Palicos. That's going to be nice. Master Utsushi.
I'm more curious about seeing if they still have, like they had in Jinyu, the Kayamba and Cha-Cha outfits. That's what I want.
See, they could because Rondina could be the one who can bring that kind of stuff. The things from the outside world. I
hope so. Like if they have Cha-Cha and Kayamba, boom, that's what my dudes are going to be like. Well, I guess a Palamute can't be Cha-Cha or Kayamba, so I don't have to figure that out.
It was a given, but I am happy to see that arena quests are going to be back. They mentioned that Master Itsushi is the arena NPC who runs the arena, so I'm interested to see how they're going to work that in this game.
Hopefully we'll get some better sets, but I already know we're not going to, so, it is what it is.
A lot of people are mentioning that his outfit seems to have Zenogre armor on it, so perhaps that's a call out and a hint that Zenogre is going to be in the game, which would be like, okay, how is Zenogre not in the game? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
At this point?
But you mean Utsuchi?
No surprises.
Because like Utsuchi in the trailer, he has a mask, and that mask just straight up looks like friggin' Zenogre's face, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, they got the mask and he's got the hip pads from Zenogre as well. He's like a mixed armor guy.
Yeah, Zenogre is pretty much a
little bit of everything.
Zenogre is pretty much in there. Nargacuga, I'm also pretty sure it's in there because like there was some official.
Those two are a shoe in. Like, there's no surprises there. So I don't think they're going to waste any major announcement to say, "Oh my God, they're back." I think they're just going to do like another web trailer, 30 seconds, and oh look, there's Nargacuga.
No, I mean there was already some art that the official Twitter account posted, and you could see like it was a caravan.
In the background.
It was a caravan of some kind, and then there was like a dark thing in the shadows in the trees with two red beady eyes, and you're just like, well, there you go. That's Nargacuga.
I mean, they are only, two of the favorites of the director who's though they're from his games, of course, he's gonna put them in.
Oh yeah, those
ninja outfits and Zenogre is super Japanese. Come on.
Pretty much in there. Not to mention, like, I had already said, like, Nargacuga the second I saw Kamura Village's style because it has, like, the fishnet stuff on it. And I even thought it was Nargacuga the first time I saw it. You're the one who told me, no, that's Kamura. I was like, oh, makes sense. Still looks like Nargacuga as far as I'm concerned, but sure.
But yeah, man, it was just such a good announcement event. There's so much that we've gone through, and it's just the community has been on fire. I think just eating it up and having fun discussing. Seeing the clips from everybody's been amazing, and
it's been insane.
It's a good time to be a monster hunter.
It's like just like the other day, for instance, I saw a video from Chaos Slayer where he found out some hidden tech for the Gunlance, where you can basically do infinite long hops. Yeah, so if you hop out of a charged shell, you can do it to get the long hop. So you can basically cancel. You can do the thing as if you're about to do a charged shell and then cancel it into a long hop and then just repeat that until you run out of stamina. And I was like, what the hell, dude? This is insane. There's like everybody's finding crazy tech everywhere. It's just like, it's really, really cool to see. It's that excitement period. Like probably a lot of it will get changed and nerfed. But at the same time, it's just funny to like find all of these hidden things in the game. It's pretty cool.
So I'm kind of curious if they're going to release like the volcanic map trailer next month, or they're going to wait all the way to March, because somewhere in there they're going to have to do a story trailer, right? I think they're going to do a story trailer, and they're really going to dig into what the rampage is and give us real details, because that seems like it's its own mode and its own thing.
Yeah.
And then they also have the volcanic map, so they've got at least 2 really big bombshell trailers left in them for sure. And then, of course, the official launch trailer, which would be crazy.
What if they didn't even announce the lava map? Because I know that you already found it in like the mechanics descriptions in the game and whatnot for environmental hazards.
Yeah, and they got a picture of it even.
Yeah. So I wonder if they just wait until they actually release the game. And it's like, oh yeah, here's the map.
There's no way.
No, there's no way. They always reveal.
No way, because I mean they have returning monsters, they have new monsters they need to reveal, and that's going to be done through a map trailer, so to say.
I still hope they save a bunch of surprises, because that's my favorite thing, is always just getting surprised by stuff.
I could see them doing nothing until the end of the month because we have the demo.
Yeah.
I could see February them doing a story trailer focusing more on the narrative.
And then probably and around that time monsters.
And then volcanic one for like March or something.
And when do we get the second demo, you think?
My guess would be early March, probably.
Early March? So we get 1 month.
I don't think we'd get one in February. I mean, considering that the first demo goes all the way to the end of the month, which is awesome, by the way. I love that they did that. So I can't imagine we'll have anything in February. So maybe early March.
So February is basically everyone just like looking at Capcom. Hey, what's next?
What's going on?
Can we get some more?
Yeah, so
give us more.
I think it would be a good month for them to cover Rampage. I think that would be the right way to do it.
And then announce the fire map and give us the second
and demo. All the other monsters in early March. Give us another demo, and then a final trailer a week before release or something. Either way, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what else. It just feels like they have so much more. Yeah, but even if the game was only what they showed us already, I'd be happy. Like they've shown enough that I'm ecstatic. Yeah,
like you know me, I prefer to know less and then just like get surprised when I jump into the game. So
yeah,
I'm ready. It's like I've just been basically hassling Socks, but like, hey Socks, I need this game like now. Like we got to talk about this. You can't just like drop this demo and then like now you have to wait until March. Like, what do you mean?
2 more months, guys. What?
No, we need it now. But to be honest, take your time, make sure it gets done right. And I'd rather wait and get something good than, unlike some other games that release and then it's like big old mess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, the Monster Hunter team knows what they're doing. They've never strayed us wrong before, so I feel good about it.
That'll be good stuff. But I think that's about a wrap because we're coming up on 4 hours soon if we're not careful.
Yeah.
So, guys, you get a special extra long episode this week. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We'll have plenty of more to talk about still. Don't you worry, because there's always stuff to talk about when it comes to Monster Hunter. So much new stuff. And I haven't even checked out all the weapons, and Gaijin's going to be checking out some more weapons as well, and I'm sure we'll have more to tell you guys next week. So stay tuned. Remember, you can listen to this in a bunch of podcasting services, anchor.fm/thirdfleet. My name is Rurikhan. You can find me youtube.com/Rurikhan. You can find Gaijin Hunter, youtube.com/Gaijin Hunter. Links will be in the description and everywhere else, wherever you happen to listen to this. That is it. Any last words, sir?
No, same as always. Just stay safe, be happy, and download that demo and have some happy hunts.
Yep. Happy hunting, people. Peace out.
Till next time.